Now the Sunday game team are live from Croke Park as Galway and Kerry battle it out for Sam in the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship Final, and there'll be commentary as Gaeilge on RTE Player.
What you put into club comes out in county. AIB, proud sponsors of the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship.
Hello, this year the GAA will celebrate the 175th birthday of one of its founders. 54 years after Michael Cusack helped create what would go on to become an integral part of Irish life, Kerry and Galway met in a senior All-Ireland football final for the very first time. In fact, that year they met in two, and just under 48,000 people came here to Croke Park to watch Galway win the replay. There'll be over 82,000 here today watching. But the prize will be Sam Maguire, just like it was back on that very first day in 1938, and in each of the 8 All-Ireland finals these counties have contested in between.
Everything set now.
As always, it's a very emotional occasion.
And the game is on. Take on the 21, on the 14, and it's a point.
It's falling in and it's falling over the bar. And Kerry are the champions.
Galway have won the All-Ireland for the second year running.
It's a familiar picture for the third time this decade. The champions once again.
A stunning game of Gaelic football. It ends in bitter disappointment for Kerry.
There's the chance. Galway surely will score what they do. The Sam Maguire Cup is going to Galway. Into the air.
Matthew Tierney.
He's got it!
Tierney scores! That's the moment!
Shane was this way and that. What about that for a piece of brilliance? Oh, here comes Killian Spillane.
Here's Damien Comer, runs the slip. Comer's in! Goal!
O'Shea's going. O'Shea scores!
There's no goalkeeper. Damien Comer!
The combination, Clifford! Magic in Croke Park.
They have been arriving all morning and all afternoon by any means possible. Everyone will be filled with expectation regardless of the colours they're wearing. Over 82,000 will announce their arrival at Croke Park in the hopes of seeing their county come to wait. How long that wait might be depends on the winners. Kerry taking on Galway in the 2022 Senior All-Ireland Football Final at 3:30. It all ends here on this muggy July afternoon with the 2014 champions taking the 2001 champions for the right to take Sam home. Sean, Kieran, and for the last time, Pat are going to be part of our All-Ireland final lineup. Are they going to give you a cracker in your swan song?
No, but maybe today. Maybe there might be, and let's be nice to Pat Spillane Day for a change. And I just think of maybe think of the Ronan Keating song, lads. He said best when he said nothing at all. Okay.
I love it. He's going to be like a sixth year in his last day in school today, Joanne. I think.
We're focused. We have one gig, and we'll have a chat at the end.
I love how he looked one particular direction when he was talking about that. But these two teams, they have given us these iconic moments down through the years.
They have, Joanne, and I think it's well said because we've all talked about Kerry's dominance and this Kerry team coming and all the minor victories, but they're fragile as well. And Galway remind me a little bit of Tyrone coming last year. They're coming strong. They've been through tough games. They're road tested at this point, so I think we're set up for a big day, and then we've got Pat's retirement, which is even better.
He started like this the moment he walked in the door. The sleeves came up straight away. That aside, though,
it's great to be back with the two professors of COVID anyway, you know, the experts, just in case there's anyone need a health and safety around the place.
There's no COVID talk today whatsoever, I promise you. Looking at the match, what do you think of that assessment that Galway are quite like Tyrone?
Yeah, I think it's one of those ones, Joanne, the nearer you get, you start kind of... Kerry are still coming in as strong favourites, and you start thinking, if Galway are there with 10 minutes to go, the fact they are road tested, could they have a chance? You know, Kerry are... There's probably a lot more pressure on Kerry, and I'd agree with Sean that, you know, a lot has been made of that Seanie O'Shea point and the psychological barrier of getting over the line. But I suppose getting over the line is getting up the steps today, and that's going to be the challenge. And if Galway are hanging in there with 10 minutes to go, they've a lot of games under their belt, and they're mentally road tested. So, listen, hopefully we get a cracker. I think that's a challenge.
Was that them getting over the line? I think too much been made of this semi-final. Personally, I didn't think Dublin were great this year, all year.
Well, the only thing I'd say, Sean, about that is if there had been another minute, Kerry probably would have sat back. Dublin might have got a shot at. They got over the line at right there, but they showed a bit of courage in getting that ball out, and in the last 5-10 minutes, particularly off their own kick out.
A couple of things. I think we're in for a really good All-Ireland final. I think we have two good teams, two teams who like to play. Yes, they can play defensive, but they can play nice attacking football. There's an abundance of skilled forwards on both sides. They play a nice kicking game at times. I have to go back to... And I can pick flaws in Kerry as equally as I can pick flaws in Galway. This is far from being the perfect Kerry team. But I have to go back to that kick, and I'll be talking about it later on. 2009 since we had beaten Dublin. 6 championship games since, 5 defeats, 1 draw. And Kerry's record in coming out of 1-point victories is very poor. Do you know, since 1960 in the championship, since 1960, 62 years, Kerry have had 6 1-point victories. And before the semi-final, the last 1-point victory they had was in the qualifiers in 2012 against Westmeath. So I cannot stress enough how huge that 1-point victory was. And Jack O'Connor referred to one word. He talked about one word constantly in his post-match interviews that day. He talked about resilience. Kerry team, coming down the stretch in a big match for the first time in many years, showed resilience, showed mental strength. And now that Dublin monkey is off their backs, I think they feel liberated, and I think they can express themselves and play better football today.
OK, well, it's all definitely set up very, very nicely. And Kerry supporters, as we know, will be hoping for a new era to begin today. But as one may be about to start, another is about to end, with the departure of one of the most influential Gaelic Games voices of the last 30 years.
Well, a little bit earlier on, we were across the road having a cup of tea. Up on the wall, there was a picture of some of the greats of Gaelic football. The man beside me here was one of those people pictured, Pat Spillane from Kerry. Pat, you're very, very welcome to this occasion.
Well, I don't know who your idea of the man of the match is, but I know that mine is Pat Spillane. Pat Spillane. Adios, Spillane. Good to get.
It's great to win, and just I hope my mother has calmed down a little bit now and said we're all okay.
What about our own man, Pat Spillane?
Like I said, you can't stay out in the sun for more than 10 minutes. My arms are a little bit red at the moment.
The live televising games is indeed to be welcomed.
Hello and welcome to the Sunday game.
So, I mean, I will call a game as I see it.
I think somebody's out to punish me because this is the second week in a row I've had to endure an absolutely awful load of rubbish from Ulster Championship football.
There's a banner out there. Are you watching Pat Spillane?
To describe today's football, do you know what I'd describe it as? I'd call it puke football. If Tender did provincial champions, I'd be swiping right to Ulster.
Sorry for being a perfectionist now, but these things are important, you know.
Oscar Wilde said there's only one thing worse than being talked about, and that's not being talked about. So.
Here, John Casey jump in to readjust John McDermott's head a little bit.
And you can talk about systems till I'm blue in the face.
A couple of great examples of slow waltzes and whatever like that.
It's paralysis by analysis.
He'd make Michael flatly eat his heart out because this is a wonderful high leg action here.
This GPS bra-like garment.
No, it's modern-day football just
gone wrong. Geez, that's biceps, triceps.
I mean, he looks fantastic.
To paraphrase one of the Gospels, forgive him, Lord, for he knows not what he says or writes many times.
That's a load of rubbish by Sean, to be quite honest. When you see another crowd
acting the Q Tour and being even better at it than us, and that was Tyrone.
And who else but Pat Spillane as the scorer?
This game of Gaelic football has been infiltrated by a load of spoofers and bluffers.
We're very happy at the moment.
You know, the word humble and Pat Spillane don't fit hand in hand.
Surely one of the great footballers, ladies and gentlemen, of our time.
They're the facts. The best teams, the cream will always come to the top. The best footballers.
Pat Spillane when Kerry needed it most.
Thank you very much.
Well, Pat, before I ask you about that, Kieran has a little present for you on behalf of us all.
Well, I thought, Pat, we had to get a few dubs together, considering you've played against the dubs, you know, throughout, and you've criticised us for many years. But what do you get a man that has everything, you know? And you have 8 All-Irelands, 9 All-Stars. You have a wonderful wife that does everything for you. Yeah. You have the sea, the mountains in Kerry. Yeah. The one thing that you don't have is a 5-in-a-row jersey. So the dubs got together and signed it for you. We were going to get Dermot Connolly in to present it, but it wasn't available, right? But that's just for you to put in your wall so you can remember the dubs after your sterling career on the pitch and off it.
Thank you. That's very nice. Yeah, that's very nice.
I can't get over how unobservant you are because it's not small.
You didn't even see it.
You didn't see us bring it in the middle.
I kind of forgot you even played football, Pat, but let alone how good you were. But from the people in the north of the country, I have to say thanks for all the motivation you give us over the years. And we totally love to hate you, but I think we're going to miss you at the same time. So I think there's a compliment in there somewhere.
Do you know what else? Can I just say, like, I have enjoyed. You know, I've gone to the. I haven't gone to the end of the road either. I've just gone to a turn in the road. I've just closed one chapter. And do you know what, lads? Do you remember Dame Vera Lynn had a lovely song during the war years? We'll meet again, don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day.
And he's going to pass out with the heat soon.
Sorry, thanks very much. That's beautiful. That's a lovely gesture. That's really nice. That's really nice. And they were a team, I swear to God, I mean, and we slag off teams, and maybe we're too critical at times, but that Dublin football team, gee, they played football. They were brilliant. They were absolutely... So very, very nice. Absolutely.
None of them played tennis and superstars, Pat.
No, absolutely.
And Pat, when this Kerry team wins the 5 in a row, we'll organise the 6 in a row and we send it down to you,
One word before we go, looking back at all those, you look like you were getting a little bit emotional. Is there one moment you remember in particular, or one player as a pundit you watched who stands out above the rest?
One moment, no. The ultimate in life is to get paid for your profession, to be a soccer player or a singer or whatever like that. The next best thing in life is to be paid for talking about your hobby and talking about your passion. And I've been privileged over 30-something years to write about Gaelic games and to talk about Gaelic games in here with RT. It's been a wonderful roller coaster ride. There's been highs, there's been lows, and I thank RT for giving me the chance and sticking with me for 30 years and allowing me to be, and I suppose for the Irish people to be part in their sitting room every Sunday night during the championship. But it's been a great time. Players, somebody asked me this earlier on, and it's very difficult. They said, don't select a Kerry player. So I said, you know...
It has to be a Tyrone man, Pat.
It has to be. I think it was. I think Peter Canavan was, of the 30 years that I was an analyst, that he was the superstar. He was real class. There was a load of Kerry fellas, but I take up too much time. But thanks very much. That's lovely. Now we'll get to analyse the game, lads, and and hopefully Sam will be returning to Kerry. Now that would be the icing on the cake.
And that would top off for you a great 2022 football championship, which has not only provided us with a final pairing we haven't seen for 22 years, it's also given us 2 penalty shootouts, a 24-year provincial famine ended, and some clutch moments that will be talked about for years to come.
I got a new word in my view, Lord, my journey I pursue. I said I'm running for the city. I got the new word in my view. I got the new word in my view. Oh, my journey I pursue. Lord, I'm running for the city. I got the new word in my view.
They ain't got no muscle, no hustle, no backbone. I stand alone, not tripping. Just saying, I'm different. Ain't hanging on to the coattails of the next man. Passport in my left hand, thinking that you are next. Heck, hope you ain't holding your breath, man. Cause I'm out here, I'm hungry. I don't play around, trust me. Ain't had as much drive since my Honda Civic got rusty, and my girl said that she loved me. It's funny, just thinking back. Study hard for that 9 to 5, like I thought that I should be done with that. I was dreaming, still dreaming. Spotlight on me like like Willie Beeman. Still performing like Al Pacino. Instagram and tuxedos with my peoples. We growing up, still don't seem like we slowing up. 10 squad, we throwing up. Every time that we showing up. Get it while I'm living. All I ever hear is the clock tick, tick, tick. So I'm about my business and I'm running with it now. They don't wanna give it up, we gon' make it out. Get it while I'm living. All I ever hear is the clock.
Here comes Killian Spillane.
So I'm about my business and I'm
Shane Walsh, this way and that. What about that? What a piece of brilliance. And Galway are the champions.
On his shoulder, lovely play. Brilliant. Kieran Kilkenny. Then getting inside the cover, there's an opportunity. Surely a goal. Yes, it is. Derry are the Ulster champions for the first time since 1998.
Matthew Tierney from Uachtarard. Tierney scores, and they're through to the semi-final. It's over. Up towards corner, there's no goalkeeper. Damien Galway. There's the goal. That's the moment. Surely Galway are going back to the All-Ireland final.
Up into the air. Is it going the right way? Yeah, he's got it. Kerry with the last kick of the game. Have beaten Dublin.
give it up, we gon' make it out.
So hard to believe it's all coming to an end today, unless it goes to a replay, of course. Lots of moments in there. If you were to pick one, what would it be?
For me, Joanne, it was the Armagh-Galway game here at the quarter-final stage. It highlighted the unpredictability of sport. Why you go to sport? We thought the game was done and dusted. Galway were 6 up, home and hosed, 8 minutes added. One long ball goes in, Aidan Nugent gets a fist. Another long ball goes in, Rian O'Neill grabs it. Galway don't cover themselves in glory defensively wise here, but Conor Turbitt gets a goal. All of a sudden, Armagh are back in the game out of completely nothing, and then we see one of the moments of skill of the championship. So you have the madness of the sort of pure Galway defending, then you have Rian O'Neill landing a 60-metre unbelievable free, and then in true GA fashion, you have a bit of passion. Okay, a couple of unsavoury moments, but at the same time, it summed up where both teams were at that moment. Passions were high, energy was high. Everyone loves a bit of a scrap as long as it doesn't get out of hand, but at the same time, it just summed up that mad moment of a game, and half the Armagh supporters were halfway up Drumcondra away home, and then it brought us to extra time. So that 20 minutes was just exhausting for me, but exhilarating at the same time.
In true Sean Kavanagh style as well, when he heard the piece was ready to go, he said, "And you do have the scrap in it, right? That's very important. The scrap is in it."
Well, you know, up north it's called a fight, but down here it's just passion and all that. You know, so today it'll be okay.
Okay.
Handbags.
The handbags, there you go. Pat Spillane, you chose. I don't think anybody would be surprised with what you chose.
I think this was the iconic moment of the championship. It was Sean O'Shea's 55-metre winning free against Dublin. Scored this and Kerry are into the All-Ireland final. And remember, Shawnee had missed the penalty, wasn't having a great game, had a quiet second half. Shane Ryan came out to take it, but Shawnee took the ball off him, showed responsibility, showed leadership, but showed brilliant composure, kicking, like I said, 55 metres into the Dublin supporters, into Hill 16. But two things I want to highlight in this. First of all, his technique as regards the process. You know, the non-kicking foot alongside the ball, the follow-through, the hands coming across. But also, this is the key thing, it wasn't against the wind, there was a swirling wind. So what he actually did was, the wind was swirling anti-clockwise. Shawnee aimed 10 metres to the right of the goal and carried it in. It was absolutely brilliant. And if Kerry win the All-Ireland, I will not look at an instant today. If Kerry win the All-Ireland, I will look at that was the day that Kerry laid down a macro. That was the day Kerry were liberated. And the monkey, like I said, that Dublin monkey was finally off the back. But as the lad said, the job isn't done yet. There's still one big match.
Supersede Fitz's sideline against Dublin?
Oh, that was class. That was class. That was class. Outside of the right foot, that was absolutely class. Do you know what? It probably does. I think it does. I think I put that as one of the iconic scores through Kerry footballing history.
Is it
but am I surprised? I know Shawnee since he's that height. Shawnee practices. It's all about technique. It's all about the process. It's all about bringing 20 footballs into Father Breen Park a couple of days a week, and it's all about bang, bang, bang. And I honestly thought that he was going to put it over. and he did.
Is it a more difficult kick than Rian O'Neill's, with Rian O'Neill knowing that his team is out of the championship if he misses?
I think it is, because I'll tell you this, if you can remember that day, because into Hill 16 that day, like I said, it was a swirling wind, and Dublin's kicking in the first half, you can remember, was very un-Dublin, like they missed a lot, and like I said, it was anti-clockwise, so if he had the kick over on this side, he'd actually have been kicking into the wind, which would have been difficult, but by aiming it to the right-hand side, he took whatever advantage there was of that swirling breeze and took it over. I thought it was magnificent.
I think Rian O'Neill's is better.
That surprises absolutely
no,
nobody.
But in terms of difficulty, okay, Shawnee's was probably a bit more central. Rian's was over in front of Cusack stand.
The fact it was to keep his side in the championship as opposed to
different
win
dynamic,
it.
huge different dynamic, yeah.
Okay, and you have chosen what?
Yeah, like the Armagh Galway game was obviously very special, but I think, Joanne, we spent years complaining about imbalanced championships and the qualifiers, and it wasn't working, and GA were brave enough to introduce a secondary competition, and we were worried whether the teams would embrace it, and in fairness they really embraced it. And to see even the profile that the Westmeath team got out of this victory, the nature of the celebrations, what it meant to them, there was brilliant games throughout the Tailteann Cup, Leitrim, Sligo, Cavan, Sligo, we were lucky enough to get to see a lot of them, and I think, as I said, everyone embraced it, and it sets it up nicely going forward, because we sat here for years moaning and whinging about the format. We had to do something brave. We've further changes coming next year, and I think it was brilliant for weaker teams to get that profile over the last year.
OK, well, from here on in, we're going to be talking about the All-Ireland football final itself, and shortly we'll be hearing from the last two men to lead Kerry to All-Ireland glory. Both of today's managers made their intentions and their ambitions very clear upon their appointments. Kerry, of course, would never accept a target of anything other than an All-Ireland, but Jack O'Connor said from early on that they would do so with a strong kicking game and with an improved defence. The key to the latter part of those sentiments has been Tadhg Morley, who didn't start a single championship game last year, but who's been an integral reason for Kerry's concession of just 3 goals in 15 games.
In Gaelic games, Jack O'Connor was ratified last night as the new Kerry football manager.
It's a great honour. I mean, I've been there a couple of times before, so I know what's involved in it, and I had been involved with a good share of those boys as minors and under 20s. It was a great honour for me to get back with those lads again, and really accepted by the group. So that was great, because you need buy-in from everybody when you go into the inter-county setup. It can be an unforgiving arena at times, so that was an advantage.
I suppose with Jack coming back in and the management team that he put in place, everybody was really excited by it. I suppose I got my full call-up in 2016. I was part of that panel, let's say, training panel that spring. I was up in Dublin. It wasn't going hectic probably for me at the time. I remember I was getting my Easter holidays, and Eamon rang me the day I got my holidays, I'd say, to kind of leave me go, kind of. And I was like, here I have 2.5 weeks off here, like I'm home for 2.5 weeks, like I won't miss a session, I'll be there. I was kind of nearly refuted, like not letting him drop me kind of thing, like it's a childhood dream to play with Kerry, so.
And that's a pull down of David Clifford here, unceremonious. Johnny O'Shea surely will come out, hasn't he the big boot?
If I'm being honest, I didn't think he was kickable. I wasn't sure he'd have he'd have it in the tank to kick the free even in calm conditions.
I was praying he'd put it over, and I actually had a great view of it. I was standing right behind it. I said, you know what, no, I'll plant myself here now.
Up into the air. Is it going the right way?
Yes!
He's got it! Johnny O'Shea has scored for Kerry. Kerry, with the last kick of the game, have beaten Dublin. They have beaten a Dublin team for the first time in 13 years.
Sure, in the moment you don't think it all. Your emotions take over. They're great ones to win, but they're a heartbreaker to lose.
I suppose in relation to the Dubs, there's that little bit of hurt there all the time, from the last few years, 2019 and Going back through the years, there was a little bit of hurt and disappointment there, so that probably poured out a little bit as well.
Good a game as it was and as great a result as it was, it just gets us to a final. We're desperately, trying to switch our attention and our focus to the final, because this is going to take a huge performance, for us to get over the line here.
And they have a lot of really good players. Rob Finnerty's playing very well as well in the corner there. Shane Walsh takes a lot of minding, as does Comer. We're under no illusions, these lads are going really, really well. Through midfield there, as you said, Conroy McDade are chipping with a lot of scorers. Matthew Tierney and Heaney and Daly there on the 40. So we're in for it's going to be a humdinger for sure, yeah.
Look, I have huge admiration for Galway football. I mean, down through the years, Galway tend to come, with teams every now and again, and never have an inferiority complex in Croke Park. Joyce himself was probably, one of the all-time great forwards, and he will instill that belief into those Galway fellas, and because you can get too wrapped up thinking about the opposition. At the end of the day, you have to perform yourself. That's key.
I think if we follow through on what we plan to do, I think we have a great chance.
We've gone to the last day of each competition that we got involved in. Last day of the McGrath Cup, last day of the league, won the Munster Championship. This is the last day of the All-Ireland Championship, and we'll be going flat out, but so will Galway, and I'm expecting a huge battle here.
So Jack O'Connor going in search of his 4th senior All-Ireland title as manager this afternoon. And now, Pat Spillane, you might remind some of our younger viewers who don't remember his initial appointment, when there was this bit of snobbery spearheaded by a certain pundit about appointing somebody who hadn't played senior football for Kerry as their manager.
But I think Jack was upset that we didn't all ring him to congratulate him and wish him best of luck.
Was there not some slating going on that he was appointed to the top job?
No, I don't think so. I think Jack made it up a little bit. I think Jack got a bit upset. But look, in Kerry...
So, sorry, you didn't write an article about it?
I did. Yeah, I gave him a hard time. And Jack had to go back a bit in another newspaper article, and we were toing and froing for a while, but we're for the last number of years, we're good friends. We're still, at the end of the day, we love Kerry football. We're Kerry footballers at heart, and sometimes what you think is best for your county isn't necessarily what the manager thinks is best for the county. And I have fallen out with some of my teammates. I've fallen out with managers in the past, and I'm sure I'll fall out with managers in the future for giving what I feel is an honest opinion if I feel something is wrong. But Jack, at the start of the year, he texts me occasionally if Jack says he never reads newspapers and never goes on social media. But I can tell you this: if you ever write anything bad about Jack or say anything bad about Jack, the text will come in. And I wrote an article this year at the start of the year after his appointment, and I said this was a brilliant appointment. I really thought it was a brilliant appointment, because Jack is a winner. He has experience, but he's a winner. And I wrote this a brilliant appointment, and I did the article. And then I'm driving out the road in the morning, and the first text in is Jack O'Connor. I said, "Oh, Jack O'Connor! Oh Christ, what did I say wrong?" And I swear to God, I pulled in my car. I said, "Better get this over and done with now, and I'll read what the text is." And he just wanted to say, "Very fair article. I agree with it, almost everything you say." I swear to God. So we've been on the good, and I wished him. I sent him a text during the week, and he texted me back. And look, he's a winner. He's a winner. I like Jack, and he's his own man.
OK, well, we'll find out if he's a winner for 2022 a little bit later. There are actually 3 Jubilee teams here trying to make up for what happened during the pandemic. So the first of them out at 2 here, so not a huge amount of crowd. Dublin, Kieran, 1995. You must have the worst timing of any footballer. You came in just after 1995, left just before 2011, but some big names.
Yeah, absolutely, Joanne. And that was a special team to me, because I grew up in Hill 16, in the early 90s, and there had a lot of disappointments. And I obviously played minor 94 with Jason. He got in 95. My luck, I didn't get into 96, but I got into that dressing room and shared the dressing room with a lot of those guys, and they got over the line after a tough few years. And so very, very fond memories of that team, playing with them and supporting them when I was a young teenager.
You see the way, Joanne, they sent them out before anyone come in for karma for being gifted in All-Ireland by Paddy Russell in GA that year, just to confirm that one.
Here we go.
Just to confirm that one.
Be nice.
A chip on the shoulder.
Didn't actually see Dessie Farrell there, and obviously there's been a lot of talk about his current position with
not there, Joanne. As far as I know, he took a bit of a holiday after the Kerry defeat. A lot of rumours. 3-year term seems to be up. Whether he'll go for it or an extension or not, there's a lot of rumour going around the county that he may not. So there could be change on the way for Dublin.
OK, we'll move on to Galway then, led by the man who scored 10 points, 5 of those from play in their last All-Ireland final appearance. Pádraig Joyce is in year 3 of what's essentially his first senior managerial role of any kind. He was Galway 21's manager for 1 season before succeeding Kevin Walsh in the top job. Victory for his team today will require big performances all round, none more so than from his captain.
Damien Comer is screaming for it. How quickly can they play it forward? That was Silk up towards Corner. There's no goalkeeper. Damien Comer! There's the goal! That's the moment! Surely Galway are going back to the All-Ireland final for the first time since 2001.
Did you think at the beginning of the year that this was possible?
I thought at the beginning that 3 years ago was possible. I said it, and people probably laughed at me for saying what I said. But to be honest, that's the reason we're in the job. You know, I know the quality player that's in Galway at the time, and I knew there's good young lads coming through because I had someone about the 20s. It didn't happen the last 2 years for us. This year it has happened, and I think that we're in the final. But we know there's still one more game to go to finish the job.
Obviously, it's everyone's dream, really. I was only a young lad now when Galway were last in the All-Ireland finals, but it's everyone's dream to be playing in kind of the biggest games. So obviously it's a huge privilege, huge honour as well.
Galway have come to Castlebar and they've won again.
I think the Mayo game is a big, huge game for us in the championship, Marty. To be away in Castlebar, you know, I think the draw was made for that. Like, you know, I was delighted with that draw, to be honest, because I knew to focus on minds heading down there. Just the relief and the euphoria off that game, like, you know, when you come out of it, it just set us up for a semi-final and a final, you know. So took it from there then, basically, and that just gave us huge confidence and a kind of huge kind of strength to keep going, you know. Yeah, that was actually a brilliant day to be involved, you know, because like in fairness to Armagh, they brought some brilliant colour down to Croke Park, like, and you know they came in a real high from giving Donegal a good beat a week before, you know. But it was an unbelievable game, unbelievable finish, brilliant kick by Rian O'Neill to equalise at the end. But we stuck the process, stuck at it, and Killeen got a brilliant goal, equalised the game, and then finish on penalties. That just gave us such a momentum lift as well, you know. And then the crowd kind of started believing us a little bit as well. Then
Kerry with the last kick of the game have beaten Dublin. And Jack O'Connor's team will be back in 2 weeks' time, where Galway will be their opponents.
They're such a good team. They have scoring forwards everywhere. They have a good, hard, tough tackling backs, and just hard workers all over the pitch. So we know it's going to be a huge task to get the win the next day.
Yeah, look, it's a huge challenge for us, a brilliant challenge. You know, we obviously knew all we could do was worry about the games we've in front of us, and it's only since last week when they came through that we start putting our kind of plans in place for them, you know. So look, we know the way we want to play, we know what we want to do, and they're a huge challenge. Like, they've got some fantastic footballers. We need to name them out for you, like, but they've got a brilliant setup and a brilliant manager in Jack as well. You know, he's been very successful in the game. He's gone through, I think, 10 or 12 Ireland finals between selectors and managers. So look, he's very astute in the line as well. So we'll work it out for us, but it's a brilliant challenge, one we're looking forward to, and one that people are looking forward to.
Have you got somebody to mark David Clifford?
I have. We'll find someone. We definitely won't leave him on his own anyway, Marty.
Obviously you have to be confident in yourself as well and have that belief in yourselves, and that's something we said all year. Just focus on the next game. We never kind of look further than the next game. So now coming into an All-Ireland final, you have to have that confidence that you can win it, and it's something we kind of relish and look forward to.
The county, I've never seen it as exposed and excited about football. Even in my time, they're great support, but nothing at the level it's at now. So it's brilliant that these young lads have. I always tell them, like, it's up to them to give reason to the supporters to come to games, which they're doing.
Obviously there's big excitement in the county, flags, bunting everywhere, and it's good to see. It's good to give them that belief. We're just going in excitement and belief in our own system and belief in our own players that we can get the result on the day.
Pádraig Joyce looking remarkably relaxed now. You two have obviously played against him and with him as well down through the years.
Very, very self-assured character, Joanne, and I think that definitely will have rubbed off on the players, and that's exactly what Galway need here today. They need to be coming into this battle knowing that they're not second-class citizens. They'll be talking behind closed doors saying, we've beaten these Kerry players in Sigerson's. We've beaten them at minor level. We've beaten them before. So I've no doubt Pádraig and the way he carries himself, that'll be a lot of the psychology behind the scenes, and I would say that'll go in Galway's favour.
Yeah. OK, well, did you want to come in and Pádraig?
No, I just think, listen, he's a winner. And there's no doubt when he took over, his ambitions were to win All-Ireland, nothing else. And he plays on the front foot, and you could see when he first took over, he wanted to change the style of football, and they really went for teams, and they got hurt, and they learned a lot of lessons along the way. you know, they've tightened up now. They've much better balance to the team. But he's a prolific winner. He was the leader back in the noughties on that, and when Galway won their 2 All-Irelands, like, he was the leader in that forward line, and he manages the same way.
I think it's probably a good point you make, Kieran, around that. So he took over from Kevin and Paddy Walsh, who had, you know, a good defensive system, but then Park then took them onto an offensive system, and things were going well. But then, now they've kind of settled. But you know, he probably as a footballer, he played with that sort of swagger and confidence, and I think that suits the culture of Galway, and I think it suits him right now.
With the first of his All-Ireland wins as a player was 98. The Jubilee team for 1996 is just out on the pitch, and if Dublin's win in 95 is remembered for a few controversial moments that our Tyrone friend may have reminded us about, probably has nothing on what happened at the start of Meath's replay win over Mayo the following year. There is the captain, Tommy Dowd. Of course, shouldn't take away from the sheer quality of some of the players on show that day and in that team.
Well, that was the big thing about that team, Joanne. That was Sean Boylan's second coming. And Meath came in against Dublin that year with a relatively new team. Darren Fay, Mark O'Reilly. They'd introduced Paddy Reynolds, a lot of new players, and nobody expected Meath to win that All-Ireland. They came from nowhere in 96. Obviously had that famous debacle with Mayo, which Pat done an excellent commentary job on.
Peace though, says Colin Coyle.
Colin Coyle offered peace.
But they were a hard-nosed team. They didn't stand down. They met fire with fire. And Sean Boylan, they went on to win 99. He essentially built a second team back in the mid-90s.
Okay, well, still to come on All-Ireland final day, we have the expected matchups and a bit of a comparative analysis between the two teams. Here's a reminder of the last time that Kerry ended a long drought when Liam Hassett accepted Sam, and he was first Kerry man Pat to do it in 11 years. In the previous year, and for quite a few to follow, it was poor Mayo. It was poor Mayo who were the victims in the final.
For Kerry, it was a drought, but I mean, you had some of the greatest Kerry footballers of all time playing in that. Seamus Minor, one of the best full-backs that I've ever seen playing. Darragh O'Shea up in the top midfielders. But 1997 would be remembered for one player who was absolutely magnificent start to finish, and that was Maurice Fitzgerald. Everything, and if you ever get a chance for the younger viewers to watch Maurice Fitzgerald, he was just pure class in action. He was just one of the greatest footballers, one of the greatest forwards I ever saw. And let's not forget my old warrior and my old colleague Paddy, the late Paddy O'Shea, was the manager of that team in 97. So great time. It was a long 11 years. We were going after 86, thinking it was a right of Kerry we should be getting Sam Maguire every 1 or 2 years. But I'll tell you this, from 97, and we appreciate all Ireland's now. Even one in a row as we take.
Oh, I bet you would. Maurice Fitz got 9 points out of the 13 scored in that final win. Anyway, the year after that victory for Kerry, Galway then made their breakthrough with Sean O'Donnell, one of the men in the middle of the field for that 98 win. And despite the current famine, Kerry have actually still won 6 titles since the turn of the century. The first of those in 2000 under that great Paddy O'Shea, 3 under Jack O'Connor, 1 under Pat O'Shea, and their last in 2014 with Eamon Fitzmaurice. And Eamon and Sean are now down pitch side with Damien Lawler.
Yeah, they are indeed, Joanne. And the first thing to report is the swirling breeze that affected the All-Ireland semi-final between Dublin and Kerry from the Cusack stand side over to the hill. That's back in action again, Eamon, and that could be quite influential because it comes and goes.
Comes and goes, it's swirling, especially down at this end as usual, Damien, and it was a factor for both teams shooting into the hill the last day, but it's more of the usual Croke Park wind today, so the players that have played here a lot will be well accustomed to it, and even they'll have learned a bit from the last day as well, possibly.
Sean Ogue, the man beside you. Sean, you're in relaxed form. I spoke to the Galway players, a few of them on the pitch. They're very relaxed as well. What's the mood at home like, Sean?
It's a great mood down in Galway at the moment because, as you said yourself, it's a very relaxed mode. This is special for Galway. It's been 21 years since we've been here before. There's so many kids here, not even kids, 30-year-old men and women and children haven't seen Galway in All-Ireland final. So we're up here to enjoy it, but we're not here to make up the numbers. We know we have a good team. We know this Kerry team are our favourites, but we know if we put it up to them, play the football we have to do, and get, as I say, get an upper hand in midfield, we know we have a good chance of bringing the cup back to the West again after a long famine.
Eamon, just what Sean Fodda is saying there, like in terms of a lot of people expect Kerry to go long and direct in the first quarter and try and test out the Galway goalkeeper and rearguard. Is that a tactic that you expect to see?
at times, Damien, I think the key will be that they'll probably mix it. There'll be times I expect Galway to be quite defensive early on, to sit in. You know, they've started slowly in the last couple of games, so they want to make sure that Kerry don't get too much of a start in them. So they'll keep it solid at the back. High balls possibly won't be on when that's set up, and there'll be times then, especially from kickouts, winning a long kickout, it'll be open and you'll be able to put it inside. And I do expect Kerry to put in high ball when it's open.
Sean, Fodder, the Artane boys band are going in there behind you, and just in terms of the razzmatazz and the occasion, is there any danger at all that it might hit the players? Was it a factor for you guys back in '98?
Well, it wasn't really, because the fair dues to John O'Mahony, the manager at the time, like we were well prepared that time for. There was talk of sports psychology. We were brought up for the semi-final and the hurling final as well. So all that was taken in the dressing room. So all these guys, this is nothing new. The sound, as I say, when you're in the moment of the pitch, you don't hear the crowd. So all these players are well prepared. That won't be putting in on them. And as you said earlier there to Eamon, I expect Conor Gleeson to be under a bit of a pressure at the start. Derry didn't do that in the semi-final with Galway. They weren't tried at all the high ball in. We have guys now, as I said, for David Clifford, Moran can go in there, Sean O'Shea. I expect it to happen at one stage. It's kind of one to throw in a quick dart, see what happens. So, but we have Sean Kelly, who's missing. People forget that extra time. Sean Kelly was given a red card at that stage for the extra time. So he's going to be a huge clog in that full back.
Will Sean Kelly take Clifford, or will Liam Silk take Clifford?
Well, the word in Galway, you know what Sean thinks the word in Galway is that it'll be Liam Silk. Personally, I expect Sean Kelly, because he's the Galway captain. He's a brilliant player. He has the energy to go the other way as well and try and drag David out of position. And he marked him in the Sigerson final earlier on this year, so he has that bit of experience from then. But it'll possibly rotate and it might change during the game. But my hunch is that Sean Kelly will start and David all right.
But both teams as well, they're playing, you might as well say they're playing 15 men behind the ball. They're playing double sweepers and quadruple sweepers at the moment. So it's all about positioning where they are. It's not a scenario man for man. That day's really gone where you follow your man out on the pitch. It's all about the zones, and that's what they're looking at.
Can I just ask you, Cian O'Neill, what's he brought to Galway from an outsider's point of view? What changes do you see differently this year?
Well, anybody's been watching Galway, you're talking when Porrick took over there 2 years ago and this year. They like a team that have a structure, they have a system, and you could see it especially against the Derry game. You know what I mean? We knew that Derry at the start were able to get goals. If they get goals, they sit back and they let you come at them. We didn't give them that opportunity. The marking, the system that day was unbelievable. Have to admit, very hard to watch that first half because it was a very dour game, the 4 points aside. But the only thing about it, we knew then we had them work down at that stage. So we're happy enough, in all fairness. Galway are happy to win this ugly, and nothing to say about Kerry, but Kerry played the same system. You got Paddy Talley, who was actually with Kevin, who's now with Kerry. You got Keenan, who's with you. So these teams know each other inside out.
Eamon, the teams are as selected, no changes either way. You know Cian O'Neill very well. What has Paddy Talley brought to you guys?
I suppose that defensive structure, and I think Paddy Talley's importance today might be in breaking down the defensive structure at the other side, because that's something that we haven't been, great at in Kerry over a period of time. When a team are set up, trying to get the 1-2s, have the pace and the ball, pace and the man. Paddy is good at that as well, so I expect his impact maybe at that end of the pitch today more so than at the defensive side.
All right, gentlemen, thanks so much for your time. Enjoy the game. Sean Fodder, great to see you again, and Eamon, enjoy your game.
Thank you very much.
See you. It's breeze is swirling up again here, Joanne, so it could be a factor, but we'll wait and see. Back to you in the studio.
Yeah, but the sun is still shining. We are hearing that there are big thunder clouds and rain expected, but at the moment it looks like a lovely, albeit very, very hot summer's day. We're going to look at some key aspects from both sides of things. So you have looked at the kickouts. First of all, the teams in their own kickouts.
Yeah, two very different strategies, Joanne, in that when you look back in the games, Kerry have a preference to go short, and 75% of the time they go short. Shane Ryan likes to go short or kick that mid-range kick out. Galway with Conor Gleeson have a preference maybe to go long, and they very much make it 50-50, and they're very, very strong in that area, but it is a bit of a high risk strategy. And you can see Kerry are very, very good in the transition. They got 7 points against Dublin from short kickouts where they just get it out quickly. Like this is 6-7 seconds, Paddy Clifford and Sean O'Shea back to David Clifford, and the ball is over the bar. They've scored 221, I think, off short kick out. So it's a firm part of their strategy, how they can move the ball, they can get it up the field very quickly. Again, when the pressure was on, they go into that kind of bunch and break, and the defenders show very well for the ball. And again, it's that quick transition, bringing it through the bodies in the middle, seeing the space inside. This is when they're really under pressure to get a score, when Dublin are really getting back on top of them. Sean O'Shea gets pulled down by Lee Gannon. You look at the Galway kick out, and that preference is if there's any sort of a press, Gleeson will go long. I don't see much of an overload. I don't see a whole lot of structure to it. I think it's very much a risky game where they put it out. You can see here the likes of Derry goes out. It's 3-on-3 situation. There's no overload. Derry are sweeping in to pick up those breaks. So, you know, Galway play a kind of very high-risk game, and they're very small margins on those long kickouts. I think they will want to force Kerry long. They have good ball winners around the middle, and the game can swing on 4 or 5 key breaks around the middle. So I think Kerry thrive on possession. They want possession. Give them possession, they'll get a score off. So if you can limit that possession and force them a little bit long, I think Galway will do that, particularly as the game goes on.
I think Galway has to do that, because I think to win this game, Galway's going to need a goal or two. And the way Kerry has defended their D,
well, that's how you get at teams.
Means that their best chance of getting them on set up is whenever you get them from the kick out. So I think Galway has the size around midfield, so they're going to have to press. And to be honest, they have been good at pressing. Whenever we saw them against Derry pressing, Armagh pressing, they've really got at them.
Well, have a look then at how the two teams are likely to approach the opposition
and this is quite interesting. Kerry tend to press in the first half, and you can see this against Mayo. They get their eight players up, they tempt the ball out, and they smother. They get a chance off and get a simple score. They only do it after freeze, Joanne. Against Dublin in the first half, after freeze, they pushed up, and this was after free against Mayo as well. You know, they'd like to drop off sometimes and get their defensive shape. This is the 45th minute again. From the 45th minute against Dublin, Kerry dropped off, and this is where I would be very critical of them. And if Galway get to this point, you know, they dropped off and gave Dublin possession from the 45th minute right to the end. They didn't press.
Of tiredness or tactics?
Well, is it fatigue or they're 3 points up? But but this again is my point. A minute up, no contact. The 14 men back, right? Brian Fenton. You know, they're lacking intensity at this part of the game. Brian Fenton is able to stick one in on Paddy Small, right? There should be a more sense of urgency, and that's where I think that challenge, the mental challenge, is still there for them. This is Galway, same period of the game, 3 points up, 46 minutes. They're pushing up. They're trying to cut off that short-range kick out, and they create an opportunity. Again, as the game progresses, 6 minutes to go, they're still pushing up. They're still going for it. They're still pressing. They're still going after the game. So there's a huge kind of contrast in styles, in my view, and I think Galway tend to grow into the game in terms of the press. Again, you could see against Derry, particularly in the second half, they came out and they really went after Derry and tried to cause them problems. So I think that's one of the reasons I think if Galway are thereabouts, they build, they sense out, they get off energy when something happens, and particularly in the second half, they have been top performers, and I think that's where they could really get at Kerry, and I think Kerry's conservative, particularly in that last 10 minutes, that could be crucial.
Isn't that lovely? The two Hassett brothers there bringing Sam Maguire out. Obviously, Liam was the man who lifted on the day, but it was supposed to be Mike, wasn't it, back in 1997 as well. But there you go, both Hassett brothers. What a lovely moment for them as well, bringing Sam Maguire out. We heard the two lads earlier talking about turnovers. We know how crucial turnovers are in today's game as well. They mentioned Paddy Talley. We know he's involved in the Kerry setup. Is he also something to do with the rate of turnovers that they have going this year?
Oh, there's no doubt in that, Joanne. And ironically, Paddy's got a hand in probably setting up both teams today, because we were at Galway a few years ago. But this was a problem. This was a semi-final last year against Tyrone. We can see they have the men back. There's a couple of sweepers there. You see Gavin White, see Paul Murphy, Jack Barry. I don't know, tries to volley the ball, goes straight to Conor McKenna. There wasn't that emphasis on collective defending, and the first thing Jack O'Connor did when he got the Kerry job was make a phone call to Paddy Talley, and that was why sometimes the most clever people in the world, the people that know what they're not good at, and since then they've been phenomenal protecting the D. Paddy has always played this style of football where you protect the D with everything you have, and once the ball goes over your head, you sprint back frantically and you pick up the pieces. So that stat where they've only conceded 3 goals all year, which last year obviously 3 against Dublin, and lots during the league as well. So that has been the big change in Kerry. They actually have realised that they were weak and fragile at the back, and they've tightened things up. You see here Dublin going long, which you can imagine Galway will try a few times today with Comer in there, but there's that collective emphasis. Foley's aware that Paul Murphy's there, they're topping the ball out, they're defending as a team, and that was the big bit of the puzzle that was missing.
Strangely, Pat, both teams are out very, very early, and I'm going to mention again, it is very, very hot.
It is indeed, but I have to refer to Paddy Talley and what he has brought. You know, we talked about Paddy Shea, and Paddy Shea talked about that grain of rice that can tip the balance. And Paddy Talley, I think, has brought that grain of rice to Kerry. And it's not talking about a defensive system. It's their work rate off the ball. It's their tackling. It's their tracking.
It was football 19 years ago. You're all very self-righteous.
We can talk about philosophies and styles of football. We'll just analyse what we see in front of us. But what I see with Kerry this year is a hard-working team off the ball, working hard, tracking back, getting their tackles in, getting their turnovers, having their swarm defence.
It's exactly what we did in 2003. Exactly, there's no difference.
Yeah, and what they're doing is, I mean, I looked at 28 points they scored against Clare, 16 of those came from turnovers. They scored 118 against Mayo, 111 from turnovers. That unseen, dirty work, getting a hand in, very impressive.
I think the Tadhg Morley role is going to be very interesting today, because it's likely Johnny Heaney is going to drop back, and Kerry will definitely get that. Galway aren't going to push up on it. So it's a very interesting sweeper role that he has to play, because he's going to be one eye on Comer. Comer is the danger man, and I think Galway, we talk about Kerry going long if they win kickouts. Galway are going to put a couple of diagonal balls in as well and really ask questions.
We will get to the key men for both sides, and he's got to be in the running for Footballer of the Year at the moment. We'll get to those in just a moment. You mentioned how Paddy Talley, a man you know all too well, has a bit of a handle on how both camps are going to approach things today.
Totally, Joanne, and in Galway, it's a bit more. I think they had that Talley template, but it's a bit more structured what they have here. They have a double sweeper system, Daly and sometimes Glynn, sometimes Malloy will drop back and form a double sweeper. What I don't really like about Galway and the way they do it is, once you set up like that, sometimes you're slow to get back out. Whenever you have 12, 13 players camped inside the defensive half, and you can see the frantic work they're putting in. They're putting their bodies in the line, they're getting lots of blocks. They're putting a huge amount of energy into doing that, and it looks great, and they're not conceding scores, but they're sacrificing then the break. They're not getting that fast break. That
they're not transitioning quickly enough, is that it?
Yeah,
not as quick as Kerry.
They're more or less accepting they're going to play this sort of slow transition game, and that's a game that suits them. And ironically, that's a game that Derry played in the semi-final. It probably suited Galway as much as it suited Derry. So I have been very impressed with their physicality, their collective work rate. They have that double system. They're very comfortable in everything they do. And if you're going to stop David Clifford, if you're going to stop Sean O'Shea, you're not going to stop them individually. You're going to stop them by cutting down the space, by doubling up. Sean Kelly's not going to be able to stop David Clifford scoring 5-6 points today. He's going to need 2-3 men around him to help him limit that space, and that's potentially what's going to limit his influence in the game. Speeding
up the transition, can that be worked on over the course of a couple of weeks, and does it have to be worked on if they're going to get something today?
I don't think it can. I think unfortunately, if you're going to play with that double sweeper, it's just incredibly difficult to put that amount of energy you need to pull that off, to then get out quicker than the opposition. So I think they're almost sacrificing that thing, that they're not going to get as many scores on the break. But look, they're comfortable in that, and they've been doing that all year.
They've good kick passes of the ball as well. Kerry are very good at moving transition-wise because they've excellent kick passers. Galway have that as well. I think they're going to have to take a bit of a risk. Like, they'll break the game down into each quarter, but they'll have to hold Walsh, Comer, Finnerty up front.
I think Galway
have to have a counter-attack,
but are more comfortable in that sort of slow transition game, and that's where I think maybe Kerry could get caught. I think if Kerry raises the tempo of the game and they really go after Galway, they could put them away quite easily. But if they go that mirror, I think it could.
To play that fast, high pressing transition game today in the conditions, the humid conditions in Croke Park, and Croke Park is such a huge for athleticism. It's very hard to maintain that over 70 minutes, especially in this humidity. But anyway,
there are so many top players on display, but your eyes always immediately go to one man, regardless of who's playing, as long as Kerry are there.
Look, you need a week of television to show all the class, because David Clifford, best forward in the game, best footballer in the game. Just picked out a few clips of him against Mayo. Look at his work rate off the ball, takes out Shane Mullen out. But I just want to see his intelligence. Look, he identifies space, a quick pass to Stephen O'Brien, he runs into that space, a quick 1-2, Shawnee brings the defender, and a beautiful finish. Again, look, Kerry's kicking game, as the lads alluded to, is brilliant. Paddy provides the bullets, a direct shot in, and look, he's so impossible to mark because he's so strong on the ball, solos left and right, better on the left. You know, that'll be Kerry's game, but one of the key planks of Kerry's game will probably be the high ball in, and we know about the vulnerability of Galway under the high ball and expect a lot of that. Last three chances championship games in Croke Park, he's had 5 marks. That must be a record for him. But against Dublin, unusual. He was in nosebleed territory. He came back into defence. A 1-2 with Paddy, but we just track his running. It's not that he's going 100 miles an hour, but it's just his vision, his intelligence and his timing. And look, he's so nonchalant. Watch his style. Look, lovely balance, lovely follow through. Absolutely. Look, he's just a class act. The last time Kerry played Galway was in the league last year. He scored 3-6, 3-4 from play.
In 50 minutes, and then he was taken over.
He went off after 50 minutes. If he hits top form, David Clifford is unmarkable. And if he hits top form, Kerry will win the All-Ireland.
Is that a risk, Pat, that he's an off-the-charts generational player? We'll be talking about David Clifford in 100 years' time, I've no doubt in that. But he's still a man, he's still a human. If he has an off day, he went off against Tyrone with 5 minutes to go in last year's semi-final. That probably lost Kerry the game. What if he doesn't have a good day? I think that's the risk, that Kerry put that much through that one man.
It's not so much the one man, it's the 2 men, because if you look at, they scored 114 against Dublin. This is a worry, you're right. 114 against Dublin, 111 came from Seanie O'Shea and David Clifford. The other four forwards got 1 point from play. Yes, it is a worry, and there is a dependence. I notice in the forward line with the forward play, and particularly Paddy's automatic is to kick. Hit David.
I think that's the key, Pat. Paddy Reid brings him into the game.
And if you
Paddy's
stop Paddy,
playing in that pocket. If you stop Paddy, you're stopping off the supply of the ball, and you're taking something away from that kicking game.
Absolutely.
A momentarily stunned. Did you two just agree?
He's finishing up. I'm going easy on.
He just said that Kerry would have beaten Tyrone last year if David Clifford had stayed on for extra time.
He's not the only person who has said that.
I knew he was going around my way.
And yet probably the leading contender for Footballer of the Year at the moment is the Galway man, would you say?
Well, I'd say the foreign forward is Damien Comer, and he's been particularly impressive in his last 2 outings in Croke Park. He scored 2-5 from play, he scored 2-9. This is his traditional Damien Comer, edge of the square, target man, may have a sweeper in place, but watch his intelligence. He breaks it over the sweeper, turns around, and beautiful. Right footed kick. Like I said, 2-9 from play in this year's championship. We talked about Conor Gleeson's kick outs. He goes long. Twice this year in the championship, he's went long all the way to Damien Comer, and 2 points have come out of it. One against Armagh, one against it. This is trademark Comer, direct running, very accurate. But I think this was a class. Against Derry, 21 minutes gone, Derry, all the Derry team back. 21 minutes gone, no score, and this is it. This has Comer at his best. Strong driving run, and showing this time kicking with his left foot. And again, we talked about Galway have a kicking game and the variety in their play. Space in front of Comer, turn, shoot. Simple play. The key in a lot of those scores, his 2-2, every one of them came from John Daly assist. And again, watch the space. Comer is behind Brendan Rodgers, quick burst of pace. He's in front of Brendan Rodgers, and this was a brilliant goal because he into the corner. So look, he was very, very impressive against Derry. But again, no different than David Clifford. We talked about the spread of scorers, and Kerry may be too dependent on David Clifford and Seanie O'Shea against Derry. Only one other forward, only one of the 5 Galway forwards scored from play. 1 point from play.
I actually think that could go in Galway's favour, because I think Kerry's going to focus on Comer, but in Finnerty and in Walsh, I think you've 2 potential match winners there as well.
But Sean, the key with Damien Comer and the key is having Comer close to goal, and maybe having Comer on Tadhg Morley and working Tadhg Morley and troubling Tadhg Morley, because when Comer comes out the field, he's not as threatening. When he's close to that goal and he goes direct, that's when he's at his most.
He does need a supporting cast. Like if you look back, like Galway need a Shane Walsh-Connacht final performance today. He was kept fairly quiet the last 2 days. So
did he do a different type of role though? Wasn't he working a lot?
Yeah, he did. He was out the field and he was very good from frees. But they need to get him on the scoreboard. And Finnerty is a confidence type player. He was excellent against Roscommon Armagh. So they're going to need a supporting cast around Damien Comer today.
But sometimes, Kieran, these top players, whenever they very rarely have 2 bad games. So I would almost expect Walsh and Finnerty to come to the fore
like
today
Paul
with
Geaney.
the emphasis
Paul Geaney's he's going to bounce back today after a quiet semi-final. He's a big.
Galway got 2-8 in a semi-final. 2-8 will not win the final.
Different game. You have to write it off.
You pick on me, guys? You pick on me?
No, surely not. Not your last day. We are nearly there. We'll have confirmation of the teams with our commentator, and then we'll have throw-in for the 2022 All-Ireland Football Final. Kerry fans may well have expected the team to be back in an All-Ireland final repeatedly after their draw with Dublin in 2019. The Cork and Tyrone put paid to that. Galway fans have had to wait 21 years, but their memories of then and of Pádraic Joyce on All-Ireland final day should fill them with plenty of hope. And here you have two men who should feature very, very prominently today in the coin toss. So Sean O'Shea clearly got the better over Sean Kelly in this one. And has he opted to shoot into the Davin end? I'm thinking by the looks of that, but we'll get confirmation in a little while. The final round in this Battle for Sam is underway at 3:30. And we can get confirmation of the two teams that will line out for Kerry and Galway with our commentator for that 2022 All-Ireland football final, Darragh Maloney.
Joanne, thanks very much indeed. Yeah, just chatting here with Kevin McStay. We've been talking about the tag of favourites, which Kerry have, and the tag of underdogs, which Galway have. Now, maybe, I don't know, Kevin, Galway probably happier to have that underdogs tag.
Yeah, I should think so, but really the point I suppose we'd make is it doesn't matter now. All that hype is over, Darragh. When they get into the parade now fairly shortly, it's going to be 0-0, isn't it? And you're trying to get your head right for the game that's ahead of you. Trying to get that mental resolve right, that, you know, you're going to get bumps and bangs and setbacks. And I was very interested to see the great Brian Cody as he left the scene this weekend, and his take on it all was, you know, he wasn't so interested on were you willing to die to win the medal. He was more interested, who would you kill to win the medal? I'm not talking about it literally, but maybe Brian was. But that is the sort of resolve that the teams will need, and they'll be building towards that now. The blocks, the bangs, the tackling, getting themselves ready for All-Ireland Day, and all the possibilities that are ahead of them. There's going to be, as we often say, there's going to be peacocks and lads that have great days, and then there's going to be a few feather dusters as well. That's just the way it is. We're looking forward to it so much.
Massively. OK, here are the two teams. Kerry, first of all. Gavin White, thankfully, has won his race to be fit in time for the final. A crucial part of the Kerry defence, and with his pace, he certainly gives them something different going forward. That much-praised defensive system has conceded just one goal in the championship. Tadhg Morley, the man who makes the whole thing tick. Kerry have 12 survivors in their panel from their last championship meeting with Galway in 18. One of those, David Moran, who's had a great year in the middle of the field. One of the moments of the year came from Sean O'Shea with that incredible free which won the semi-final against Dublin. The full forward line led by the incredible David Clifford, who was sensational in the first half against Dublin. His career will surely be filled with All-Ireland medals, but the question is, will the first one come today? The Kerry bench filled with experience. Stefan Okonbor returns to the matchday 26, replacing the injured Darragh Moynihan, who unfortunately hurt his ankle in training on Tuesday. Now, the two managers, there's Jack O'Connor, his 6th All-Ireland final as the main man in his 3rd term. He won the All-Ireland in the first year of his previous 2 terms, and Pádraic Joyce has graced All-Ireland finals in the maroon of Galway, but this, his first final as manager, 3 years after he said his stated aim was to win an All-Ireland. Galway, it's as you were for the Connacht champions. They have just 5 players remaining in their 26 from that win over Kerry in the Super 8s. Sean Kelly, the captain, the leader, and a player who has excelled in 22. His direct opponent will be one of the key matchups in the game. You can make a strong case for Paul Conroy and Killian McDade as the 2 players in pole position for midfield all-stars, such as their importance been to Galway over the last few weeks. Lots of skill, plenty of height with Patrick Kelly and Matthew Tierney in the half-forward line. Watch for both of those in the air. And when you go further forward, you come across the combined talents of Rob Finnerty, Shane Walsh and Damien Comer. If they all click, Galway will be hard to stop. Pádraic Joyce has been less active with his subs over the last few games. Finian O'Lye has been first sub in. We will see him at some stage today.
Yeah, great to see the sun still shining. This supposed rain hasn't happened. There's the former world boxing champion and performance coach now with Galway, Bernard Dunn. He obviously featured prominently for Dublin as well during the Jim Gavin years. And actually, Pádraic Joyce, Kieran said during the week that he's been key in coming in as well, obviously, as Cian O'Neill, whom he openly admitted he wouldn't be bosom buddies with, but has played a key role in what they've done this year.
Well, he just probably comes in with a different angle. That's the role he played with the Dubs, you know, more on a one-to-one basis, and talk to lads about individual performance and mental preparation and getting ready for the big day environment. And I suppose that's the big challenge for Galway, is they haven't been here. You know, Kerry had that experience in 2019, just to build up the occasion, everything that goes with it. So they'd be looking to really just settle into the game as quickly as possible and get some energy or oxygen from the crowd.
Interested to see Cian O'Neill featuring prominently again in that huddle before the game with Galway. We've spoken a lot about Damien Comer. We only had a little bit of a chat about Shane Walsh, whom we know has so much to offer, particularly on the skill point of view.
Totally, Joanne. And if I was Shane Walsh, I'd feel a wee bit offended because it has all been talked about Comer and Clifford, but Walsh on his day has probably more skill than both of them, and that's a big statement. He maybe isn't as consistent,
more
obviously, as David.
Both of who?
Than David Clifford.
Come on, don't slip that one in now. He hasn't.
Hold on now. This man kicks breeze, left foot, right foot. His goal finishing is phenomenal.
No, not telling me.
Lads, they're both good players.
Yeah, but
he's not more skillful. He's not more skillful than David.
I don't think he's saying he's a better player. He's saying in terms of all-round skill
than the other two
fellas. If Walsh goes off today, Joanne, Galway have a serious
more skill
chance.
than David.
And I actually believe he could be primed to go off. I'm not totally convinced that Tom O'Sullivan will be able to stop him if Shane Walsh is arriving here today in big form.
And is he definitely the man to pick him up, you think, Tom O'Sullivan?
Oh, absolutely. Pace, yeah. Conor McCluskey for Derry did an absolutely brilliant job. And, I watched him closely during the game. And there was no pulling jerseys, there was no blocking the runs. It was a brilliant pace, man-marking job. Absolutely brilliant. And Tom O'Sullivan can do that.
That is going to be a brilliant battle. Another thing that we know is going to be crucial is in midfield, and even trying to pick out who will pick up who. All four players could have a huge say, couldn't they?
Yeah, and I think if we expect that, the first 10-15 minutes might be cagey, but if we anticipate that teams are going to invest energy into pressing the kick out, and we do have a lot of long kick outs, this matchup could be crucial. Killian McDade to me has been the best midfielder in the country all year. Serious athleticism up and down the field. He's up there with Comer in contention for their player of the year. Jack Barry is the man who's managed to keep Brian Fenton under watch, and you'd suspect that he's going to be given that role. He's the unsung hero. He sacrifices his game. He's going to go out and probably wherever McDade goes, he's likely to pick him up. And it'd be interesting to see the other matchup then, Paul Conroy and David Moran, you know what I mean? Again, Conroy, very good, coming from the edges, great long-range shooter, great passer. David Moran again, brilliant fielder. So, I think the dynamic, the aerial battle in the middle of the park.
Yeah, but the difficulty Kerry had with the selection for the midfield is that they've had to put Diarmuid O'Connor to wing forward. And Diarmuid O'Connor is not a natural wing forward. He's a midfielder. He was playing very well. But what David Moran brings that physical presence, that aerial ability. He's a good kick passer. But unfortunately, David isn't going to last the 70 minutes. Probably. If we get 50 out of him.
We talked earlier about that supply to Clifford and Moore, and whilst Paddy Clifford obviously is a big part of that, Moore, and I think is the other cog in that. Moore's got a brilliant outside of the boot kick pass. He's got a great range of passing. And I think Galway, as much as you say Barry will want to stop McDade, I think McDade might be needed to stop Moore on the other side.
Well, who picks up Paddy Clifford then? Because
that's the key. That is the key.
I think it's a massive question, Joanne. Who picks him up? Does Johnny Heaney drop in, track him? Because Galway have to have a system defensively. They're going with a system, so they can only afford to man up on certain key players. So someone has to pick up Seanie O'Shea, and if the talk is Liam Silk is going on Clifford, I expected Silk would go maybe on O'Shea or Paddy Clifford because they have to cut off the
because
supply.
Paddy Clifford is a guy who supplies the bullets to David, and Conor Myler stopped it last year. Kerry were very toothless in attack when Conor Myler cancelled out Paddy Clifford. Against Mayo, Kerry very poor. Why? Lee Keegan cancelled out Paddy Clifford. So Paddy Clifford in the second half was Kerry's best player because he had a free role because they double teamed David. Paddy was free, and it was Paddy that drove on Kerry in that second half to victory.
It's actually a similar dynamic as well, where Tom O'Sullivan on Walsh will try and push him back. Silk's actually very good at going forward as well. Silk a lot of the time gets in around the back of the opposition defence as well, so he might try and push Paddy Clifford back, and there might be a bit of to and fro in there.
The first quarter is going to be very, very interesting because if you would expect Galway can't let Kerry get a run on them, Kerry will go after them in the first 20 minutes.
Michael D. Higgins ucht an Heron an seo agus Larry McCarthy an aice leis ucht an Cumann Úchas Gael. Well, these men were here to watch a brilliant All-Ireland hurling final last week. We're certainly expecting something similar today. You do wonder the goalkeepers, because you keep talking about balls being kicked in, you talk about possible target men being left in there. Are we expecting goalkeepers from early on to be tested?
I think so, Joanne. There's no doubt, and I think you know, the way to get at goalkeepers is probably off that long kick out. And Kerry definitely, if they get the ball under the Hogan stand side or the Cusack stand side, if that famous Jack O'Connor diagonal ball that they played under his watch, you know, they'll definitely ask questions of Conor Gleeson, no doubt about it. And likewise at the other end, I think Galway will go direct if they get that opportunity off that long kick.
I think Shane Ryan, Kerry goalkeeper, has been one of Kerry's most improved players this year. I think particularly in the kick-outs. And I was telling somebody during the week I was choosing my moment of the year as Shawnee Shea. And he said, no, the moment of the year was the last kick-out by Shane Ryan. Because normally a Kerry goalie would have gone long, hope for the best. Shane Ryan backed himself to go short, to bring up ugly, and that led to the winning free. So he's a better keeper this year, much more comfortable under the high ball, and you will, in the last couple of matches, three of Galway's goals against Roscommon, 2 against Armagh came from high ball in under Conor Gleeson and Sean Kelly.
We've seen down through the years on All-Ireland final day, goals are so crucial. Is that something that you target and you talk about, Sean, in your pre-match when you're going in, that you are targeting if you get X amount of goals, you're in there?
You do, but particularly I would say with Kerry, if Kerry concede a goal or two today, it could really rattle them. I think this Kerry team's very fragile, and you think back to 2019 and that goal from Owen Merchant here in the final, you think back to the Cork goal that they got to beat them in 2020, and you think about the 3 goals that Tyrone got last year. I think if something similar happens today, I think if Galway get a goal early or somewhere in this first half, it could rattle Kerry. You know, I think there's a
Sean, this is a different Kerry team under Jack O'Connor, Paddy Tally, Diarmo. This is a different, tougher,
you don't rate Jack O'Connor and Paddy Tally.
They're a much more mature team, and I think they would have learned in 2009.
Well, here they have to be. This is as a test. If they bottle it here today, it'll be talked about until next year's final.
But when you talk about goals, actually, and Kerry were the highest scorers in Division 1. They were also at the best defensive record. Their goal scoring in this year's championship is very poor. They have 3 goals scored in 4 championship matches, and I look at even have they creating goal scoring chances. No, they're not. So if Kerry need to win the All-Ireland, they'll certainly need to up their scoring and go for the juggler, which they're not inclined to do.
What sort of a game do you see us about to witness, Kieran, and what way do you see it going?
I think Galway have to be cautious in the first 10-15 minutes. Kerry will go after them and they'll test them early, and I think Galway will and they can't just sound them out. They have to sound them out with intensity, and they have to turn them over. If they sit back, Kerry can pick them off. So they will probably drop in, get their 12-13 men, they'll settle into the game, but it has to be with intensity. We saw with Armagh, against Armagh the first 15 minutes, they sat back a bit. Against Derry was similar. So they have to bring the required intensity. And if Galway can keep and rattle Kerry and ask questions of them and keep the key Kerry players from getting on any sort of run and get to that second half, because I think Galway are a big second half team, but I think, do they have the defenders to stop that Kerry forward line? That's what's the big question.
So you're saying Kerry?
Kerry.
And it sounds like you're saying Kerry.
One thing I wished after watching last week's hurling, I said I'd love to have a farewell day on the Sunday game that I would be raving about an All-Ireland final that we got in the hurling. That's what I would really love. Who do I fancy to win? I really genuinely believe Kerry's work rate, their tackling, their defensive system, greater scoring potential, greater impact from the subs bench, the Jack factor, and that resilience which I saw in the last few minutes against Dublin to get over the line.
Is there greater impact from the subs bench? Do either of them have
I think there's a greater possibility of an impact
from
the Kerry bench.
Galway don't make subs.
I think there's a greater potential.
Sean Kavanagh.
I've said Kerry all year, Joanne, but the more I've thought through this week, the more I believe Galway's in a serious chance here, and that's from the bottom of my heart. And I've said Kerry from this time last year,
who's going to win?
I think Galway might sneak it.
Well, there you go. We are all have our fingers crossed for a really good match, and I do think we're going to get it. Famous last words. August, no danger McGee, will troch the fall in Yelga, le Darrow Caneja. August Gary Machtonica, Air Serview, Air on RT News Channel. August Air on RT player, but our commentary team for the 2022 All-Ireland football final, Kerry against Galway, Kevin and Dara.
Joanne, thanks very much indeed. Well, 0 hour almost upon us with the 135th All-Ireland Senior Football Final just a few minutes away. Wherever you're watching, we are delighted to welcome you to the centre of our sporting world for the next couple of hours. The scramble for tickets, the buzz around Dublin City this morning, and the noise and the colour outside this part of our capital, incredible to witness. And as somebody who was lucky enough to be one of the 200-odd people who were here for the 2020 final. To see the hordes of supporters on Jones's Road earlier was absolutely out of this world. Now the place jammed, and it's down to those 30 players down there and possibly 10 more to settle the matter. Some of them will have slept soundly last night, others won't have slept much at all, but they've all managed to pass all of those minutes to get to this point of the day, and the fun bit is about to start with their shot at football greatness. Kevin McStay alongside me. Kevin, you had your day with Mayo, and what are your memories of what this is like to be walking around? I don't know, did you pick people out in the crowd? Did it just all pass you by? Could you take it in?
Well, certainly wasn't looking in the crowd, Dara. I was just trying to get myself ready. I was being selfish now at this stage. It was my own focus was on myself and getting myself ready for the game. And as I said earlier, when we were introducing the teams, just getting the head around the challenge that was in front of you, staying in the moment and living it every minute by minute. Am I contributing? Am I working? Am I blocking? Am I making my runs? And am I getting into the game and not letting it pass you by? I think that's where all these players will be. But I say it again, and this is the key bit. The hype is over, it's 0-0. And every player in that parade will know that. And when the ball is thrown in, it is very, very much game on. And you might be the underdog. Galway are, we accept that for sure. And Kerry are deserved favourites. But every underdog we expect will have a bite of some description. And I have no doubt Galway will ask those questions. But Kerry at the moment are in the box seat from my viewpoint. Not by much, not by much.
Well, the Kerry players, and they've great support here, as indeed do Galway, but the Kerry players, they can join the likes of O'Connell, the Bomber, Paddy Shea, Maurice Fitz, the Spillans and Gooch as All-Ireland winners. They've done it 37 times, and a 38 would be their first in 8 years. For Galway, third on the roll of honour, remember, they're going for title number 10, trying to emulate the feats of the terrible twins, Liam Salmon, Jah Fallon and Pádraig Joyce as All-Ireland champions, their last title in 2001. It's the 10th final today between Kerry and Galway, and the first since 2000. We had expected, and rain had been forecast for around throw-in time. There are a few dodgy-looking clouds overhead, but thankfully it seems we may get away with it, although they could be famous last words. But it would be great if we could get to just shy of 5 o'clock if it ends in 70-odd minutes with no rain. At these final minutes, some of the players looked very relaxed, some understandably very tense.
And spare a thought, Dara, for Sean McCurls, of course. Dara Moynihan, injury has prevented them from taking part in this great day, the greatest day that our game, our sport has to offer, and we're certainly thinking about them. Two marvellous players who just, very unlucky, can't make it today.
Yes, for sure. Certainly well worth bearing in mind. Jack O'Connor indeed has, he's well used to the course and distance around this place in horse racing terms, has come up with the goods before. At this point on All-Ireland final day, the GA is marking the birth of Michael Cusack, who was born 175 years ago this September. He, of course, was a major driving force behind the creation of the association. He was from Carron in County Clare. His legacy, well, you can see it. You're seeing it right now. Now, just at this point, we'll have a minute's silence in memory of David Cox from Moycullen, who passed away recently. His son Charlie was part of the Galway minor team. Another son, Daniel, was on the Galway under-20 team. 1957 Louth All-Ireland medal winner Kevin Behan from Mary's in RD passed away just this morning after a short illness, and Diarmuid McCarthy of Naomh, Avon, Muskerry, August Corky won All-Irelands with his county. We remember those three men and their families in Croke Park today.
He brought great honour to the club, winning All-Ireland honours, and he was a driving force behind Neil O'Connell. This morning, Kevin Behan from the 1957 All-Ireland winning Louth team passed away. He was from St Mary's RD club. families and extended families and friends, we send our deepest condolences. Our Ronda Viennanish, and we ask that all present in Croke Park this afternoon will give our national anthem the respect it deserves until its conclusion. And issue Corja, our Ronda Vienna, Hossadui, Igmanakill or Dine for Stuart Ronan O'Reilly, and the anthem will be signed by Senan Dunn and Vanessa O'Connell.
The referee is Sean Hurson from Tyrone. It's his very first All-Ireland Senior Final. The Galway man took charge of this year's Club All-Ireland Final. Linesman Paddy Nealon of Roscommon. Barry Cassidy from Derry. Sideline official Sean Laverty from Antrim. The conditions are pretty perfect. There is a strong wind which is swirling in front of Hill 16. It will be Galway to attack Hill 16 in the first half. Galway have won 4 out of 4 of the throw-ins at the start of either halves in their last 2 games. They got a couple of points off them as well. So here we go. The Kingdom against the Tribe for Sam Maguire 2022. The game is on, and David Moran had the ball, then lost it, and we've got a free inside a couple of seconds, and it's a free for Kerry.
Paul Conroy touched it on the ground.
That's David Moran, he's launching it in long, they're kicking already, Gleeson was out after it, Gainey was furthest forward, that is out for a 45, is it? Who did it come off? Yes, a 45. Whoa, well, we wondered about Kerry, how often will they test out Gleeson?
He seems to be indicating free. So maybe there was something late after the ball was kicked in long, Darragh. We might pick it up in the replay, but it's Shawnee O'Shea territory, isn't it?
So it's not a 45, it's a free for Shawnee O'Shea. Remember that free from a couple of weeks ago. 24-year-old is the Kerry captain on the field. And this one, judging by the one he kicked in the semi-final, is much closer in. Oh, and he's missed it. He has missed it, and for a free taker, that's not a good start. But we did see him, well, have that penalty saved. He's very strong mentally. Just have a look here. So look where the referee was playing an advantage, yeah.
Well, I was watching the long one because, of course, we were looking out for that. The early start that tested Conor Gleeson right up with a long ball and dealt with it reasonably well.
So Conor Gleeson, first kick out, and he belts it long, right down the middle. Oh, that's a wonderful take by Jack Barry. So Galway have got to get their defensive system and shape in place very quickly. Here comes Gavin White. White just lifts that in. They are going to try and target Gleeson. He went with both fists and dealt with that. Could have caught it, perhaps.
Yes, that's what I was expecting him to do, but it's early days. He's a little bit nervous, but he punched it out to advantage, out to his corner men.
Wasn't it the 19 final replay against Dublin that Kerry started trying to test out the Dublin full back line early on? Well, it didn't really work for them that day.
That's 2 already.
2 inside 2 minutes. Here's John Daly. Just gets it from Killian McDade. Kieran Malloy. So after that frantic enough start, Galway would like some possession. This is Patrick Kelly for Rob Finnerty. Finnerty there with Graham O'Sullivan. Jason Foley has Damien Comer.
He had the front position, Rob Finnerty. He seemed to just stop as the ball was coming towards him. But he has the sideline. Yeah, I'm just looking at the matchups.
Clifford and Kelly.
Yeah, Clifford and Sean Kelly, and you were right on Comer. As we expected, Jason Foley.
Dylan McHugh gives it back to Patrick Kelly. Oh, Kelly spots the run. Here comes Liam Silk. We thought he'd be marking down at the other end. Liam Silk, there was a very important touch on that, which put it out. That will be a 45. Well, that certainly was something different. We thought he might have even been marking David Clifford, but Liam Silk attacking, driving forward. They've got a 45 out of it. Shane Walsh time.
Yeah, don't lose sight either, Dara, that it was Sean O'Shea. That's who he's marking. That's who tracked him. So good tracking there. And it was him that got the hand in for the flick. I'm pretty sure, yes, it was.
Yeah. So now, Shane Walsh.
Well, wasn't it an early one by Sean O'Shea earlier on? We expected him to get that one, and likewise, well, this is the standard these boys operate at. We expect him to get this one.
Well, wasn't it the Mayo game in Castlebar? He was putting these over for fun from even further out, and doesn't even seem to kick the ball that hard. That is a spectacular shot. Looking down at Shane Ryan's goal. So here is Shane Walsh. That wind is getting stronger. It's really difficult to judge, but we reckon it's helping. Walsh just chips it in, and Walsh has put that over, and there's the first point of the 2022 All-Ireland final. Galway lead in the 5th minute.
Well, it was running out of gas. The kick was. He just made it. That swirling breeze certainly wasn't helping, and it just clipped the crossbar on the left-hand side. Both umpires nod. Opening score.
Kerry go long on their kick-out. Gavin White. All sorts of speculation about it, but he's fit and flying fit. Here's Stephen O'Brien. Will carry a lot of ball today. Dylan McHugh in front of him. Now it's David Clifford. Just mishandled it a bit. Then it pops off the chest of Dermot O'Connor, heading towards the end line. O'Connor's got some space. Wow, he's got right under that. Now this could still go over, or is it gone wide? We're going to have a look at Hawkeye. First use of Hawkeye today.
Had he his medical checkup during the week?
I think he did. But Dermot O'Connor, that was a sky ball.
Snow on it, as they say, but it looked wide. It seemed to get the near post. Yeah.
We reckon it is wide. Yeah, well wide. Now look, the officials, the umpires back there, right to use the technology. It was working there, we hope. No, it is. It's all been checked out, and everything's 100%. Long kick out from Gleeson again. Favours the other side. Morley right underneath that. Galway didn't get players to the drop zone there, and that was a free one. Kerry win the Galway kick out. They've kicked 2 wides in the final so far. Dermot O'Connor, Brian O'Biogliuk. What a strong finish to the Dublin match he had. Dermot O'Connor. Now it's out to Jack Barry. Galway have the sweepers, looks like 2 of them at the moment, although it could actually be 4, but there's markers in there. The sweepers, ball turned over. Dermot O'Connor went down on it. Referee says play on. Galway turn Kerry over, and Kerry, well, with Paddy Talley in there, they thrive on turnovers, but that's a massive turnover for Galway. We expected that Kerry would come out and try and blitz Galway in the first few minutes, that Galway would sit in and just soak up the pressure. They sat in that time.
Just another matchup for you, Shane Walsh and Tom O'Sullivan. They're well welded to each other on and off the ball. I just haven't picked up Paddy Clifford's one yet. They're leaving him a bit loose in the pocket.
John Daly, Kieran Malloy. There's 3 Corofin lads in that Galway defence. Kieran is one of them. Dylan McHugh. McHugh kicks the ball in long to Patrick Kelly. He will keep it in play. Kelly has Gavin White in tow. Now where's Tyke Morley? Galway trying to pick their way through this Kerry defence. Patrick Kelly. They come back out the field. Matthew Tierney. They have developed great patience over the course of this championship run, Galway. Now they go in low. That was Finnerty. Comer couldn't hang on. Galway will still have it. Foley was behind him. That's going to be some race in terms of pace. There's John Daly. What a fantastic pass to Johnny Heaney. Heaney's in. Oh, brilliant block. Wonderful block. It's gone for the point, though. It could so easily have been a goal. But there's one of those world-class passes from John Daly. He's done it all year. Galway could have been in for a goal.
Yeah, I think it's Stephen O'Brien. Yeah, he throws himself down. That's what you do on All-Ireland final day. And he saves the goal. What a pass from Daly. We knew he had that in his locker. We saw that in the earlier semi-final.
this is not going according to most people's scripts in the build-up. All the hundreds of hours of broadcasting, podcasting, all sorts of stuff. There's Clifford with a brilliant catch and a wonderful mark, and my word, Kerry needed that. A moment of brilliance from the Fossa man, and this is going to be the first point. Yeah, just tapped over by David Clifford. They needed a big moment just to calm it down.
Oh, that's superb. Kelly right beside him, but he just is too good on that high one. And made and manufactured, all done by himself, David Clifford.
So Gleeson isn't really mad about the short kick-outs. Although he had Dylan McHugh free there, you can see him on the just shy of the 45-metre line. That's a bit shorter, and that's gone wrong. A failure, a kick-out time for Gleeson. You had McHugh there earlier. That's why he wants to kick it long. Here's David Clifford, sends it in low. Galway look a bit stretched. They didn't get set up there. Stephen O'Brien. O'Brien sends it back to Paul Gainey, and Gainey has put that one wide. The Kerry forwards are misfiring early on. There's a lot of nerves out there.
And the Galway goalkeeper is taking his time. He's not rushing them, even though he is losing them long. There's no question about that. He needs to get the accuracy back into it for an overload, but a little bit shorter this time.
Now Sean Kelly and David Clifford will go back the field with him. We know that Sean Kelly loves to get forward. John Daly. Oh, there's some space there. Clifford couldn't get near him. Daly will fill it. Still going. There's the foot pass in. Here's Shane Walsh. Walsh with the shot, and Walsh with the score. The Galway crowd on Hill 16 roaring that one over. He got out in front. The Kerry defence just not tight enough. Galway 3, Kerry 1, 10 minutes in.
Well, that's what you don't want from a Kerry perspective now, is Shane Walsh to come alive and catch fire on All-Ireland final Sunday, because he is accurate and he is streaky and he'll go for it.
David Moran under that, it breaks. Galway though have won the Kerry kick-out. It'll come straight back at Shane Ryan. Here's Matthew Tierney, the NUIG Sigerson captain. Brilliant challenge from Dermot O'Connor, turning the ball over. That's Paddy Tally written all over it. Here's Tide Morley. Space far side. How quickly can Kerry, well, they call it a transition now, but basically it's just get the ball forward as quickly as possible. Here's Paudie Clifford in a very wide position. Tom O'Sullivan, he knows how to score. He's actually joined fourth on the scoring charts for Kerry this year. Paudie Clifford. So now Galway have settled in. They've left, well, one player forward. Shane Walsh is the furthest forward. Out of picture, Damien Comer is coming back towards his own 65. Kerry have got to work around the edges. Paul Gainey. Jack Barry. Gainey again. The Dingle man. Just tops it up for bringing up Yogluk. There's a little bit of space here. Here's Jason Foley up from fullback. They want to get the ball to the shooters, and Jason Foley is not one of them. That's wide. 4 of them now. So Gleeson's got the ball back in play already. Targeted Patrick Kelly. There he is, a kick-out time. Brilliant from Kelly. White is behind it. Rob Finnerty was screaming for it. Again, they just punt it in. Oh, and that referee is a free in. Shane Walsh is showing brilliantly for the ball. Lovely little nudge pass from Rob Finnerty. Free into Galway. Has to be a point. They'll stretch it out to 4-1.
Yeah, I think it's David Moran's intervention by the foot, and he trips over him, and the referee calls it immediately. Just here. Well, it's actually his shoulder. I think he slips into the tackle, actually.
Yeah, he was unfortunate,
yeah,
David,
unfortunate, has to be said, yeah. But the free in nonetheless.
So Walsh will take the free himself, but not. It's a worrying sight for Cian O'Neill and Pádraig Joyce. He's still got that little earphone in. I'd love to know who he's talking to. Walsh will be okay. So many different dimensions as well, Kevin. Cian O'Neill was with Kerry under Eamon Fitzmaurice. Paddy Tally was with Galway with Kevin Walsh.
They know each
Tyrone
other.
in 03.
Yeah, that's right. They know each other inside out. I was saying previously, look, the amount of tape and statistics they're pouring over. There's nothing they don't know.
Out of the handoff is left. Shane Walsh, there you go, right over the black spot. He's got 3. It's 4-1.
If we're just pushing towards the first quarter, as it used to be when we had the water breaks. 4-1 is, oh wow, that's beyond Galway's opening dream, I think, isn't it?
Well, there was a certain narrative as Ryan keeps it lower this time. That's a good kick out to take out Jack Barry in space running onto it. The narrative was that Kerry would blitz Galway and build up a big lead. Galway had been making slow starts. Not today, sir. Here is Paul Gainey. Gainey pops it out to Dermot O'Connor. He's got in around the back. Kieran Malloy there. O'Connor took an awful lot of steps on it. There was a short pull in there. It's going to be a free in. There were a fair few steps as well. O'Connor goes down. Kerry will get their second point through David Clifford. Galway looked a bit open there.
Yeah, did, and I'm not so sure the foul was required, even though he had gone inside. Kieran Malloy is the fouler on this occasion, certainly a free in. They almost had Paul Gainey surrounded in the earlier play, but Gainey just tidied it up with a lovely little hand pass inside, and now the free results, and guess who's on this, and guess who's going to score.
Still only 23 years of age.
Hard to believe, isn't it?
He seems like he's been around for 10 years. Well, Jack O'Connor and Mike Quirk beside him just chilling out.
Well, like everyone in the stadium, just trying to figure out what's happening. Are the matchups balanced? Where are we getting some dividend? Where are we struggling? And then making the decisions to correct what he can.
You can see Gleeson looking to his left because Sean Kelly had made a break. It's Kieran Malloy instead, so the shorter kick out worked for Galway. It's quite clammy in Croke Park. It's very pleasant, not necessarily if you're down there racing around the place. Rob Finnerty. Again, there's just a directness about Galway. Shane Walsh. Walsh has Tom O'Sullivan there with him. That's already turned into a big battle. Patrick Kelly has seen a lot of ball for Galway. That's Liam Silk who got a hand in. Now Galway could be caught up the field. And Galway, Liam Silk happy to give away the free there to allow them to get back down and set up. Now David Moran had the ball 18 times in 50 minutes against Dublin. Kicked it 12 times. Hand pass to Brian O'Biogliuk. Galway got back. Jack Barry. Dermot O'Connor. Kerry's 2 points, both from place balls. Here's Stephen O'Brien wriggling away from Patrick Kelly. Gainey sends it back out to Jack Barry. Kerry faced with the same issue. Tig Morley. Bringing up Biogliuk. Kerry patience required. Paudie Clifford. It is a big challenge to get through. They need something different. There's Graham O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan pops it up to Stephen O'Brien. And Graham O'Sullivan is still available. O'Brien spots a gap. Just that injection of pace. Now Paul Gainey. Another wide. Another one. That is 5 of them. And Kerry are not firing up front, which is a big surprise at this stage.
Well, I count that as 2 for Paul Gainey as well. I'm sure we'll check it, but he's had a 4 semi-final, and I was watching him in particular. I was expecting something big from him in the first quarter.
While you were watching that, there was a beautiful kick out to John Daly racing onto the ball, secured with the minimum of fuss. Here's Shane Walsh. 2 Kerry men around him. Walsh having a go. Oh, that is gorgeous. That is gorgeous. He's on it today. That's great news for Galway. It could be very bad news for Kerry, but Shane Walsh is on fire early on. So are Galway. 5-2.
I'll tell you, Darragh, that's the point of the championship. He cut inside here, waiting to get a step on them, and then that explosive pace we know he has, and he walloped it. There must have been 10 metres of curve on it.
But go back, 60 seconds. Gainey's kicking a wide. Kerry have kicked 5 of them. Galway just nonchalantly, Conor Gleeson sent the kick out. That's in towards Paul Gainey. They go in long and high. Okay, he's claimed the mark. That should be fair enough. He'll kick it on the 13-metre line, but those misses are surely in his mind.
Well, this
very experienced player.
This is massive for him now. Yeah. He's got a good mark, an easy mark, but can he get the accuracy? He can.
Yeah, no score from play for Kerry. 2 marks and a free. David Clifford got the other 2. Gainey, that was a big kick for him, and he was up to it.
Well, he is very experienced, and the more experience you have of this arena, the easier it is to put those misses behind you and move on.
And look, here's the thing. Kerry have been misfiring up front. They're creating chances. The Galway lead is only 2. No short one this time from Gleeson. It hangs up there. Barry went up after it. Paul Conroy there too. Breaks loose. Kerry with sheer weight and numbers get their hands on the ball. Bringing up Ugliuk. That's Stephen O'Brien now. O'Brien to Gavin White. David Clifford deeper out. Sean Kelly not close enough to him, and Clifford has scored from play. Kerry's first point from play from David Clifford, and he wants them to lift it. They're a point behind.
Well, I think it's fair to say now this is the Clifford Walsh show so far. Two of the finest players in the country. We talked about their skill. You heard the boys talking about the skill levels they both possess. This is a magnificent start from both of them.
Well, there was a lot made of the Sigerson final, NUIG, and Clifford playing for Limerick IT, and he didn't score from play. He got plenty of place balls and stuff. Sean Kelly wasn't his direct marker, he was the sweeper in front of him, and they rotated at times. But Clifford didn't score from play in that game. He's got one in the 22 All-Ireland final. Here is Sean Kelly, and David Clifford has not gone out the field with him to try and track him. Diarmuid O'Connor was there, so they're going to task Kelly on if he goes forward. Here's Paul Conroy, 33 years young. Johnny Heaney. That's for Killian McDade. We haven't really mentioned him at all so far. McDade is surrounded with Tyrone-like tackling. Ball turned over. McDade's mistake. Here's David. Clifford again. Gleeson retreating to his line. Galway flooding defenders back to try and take up the correct positions for their shape. Tom O'Sullivan. Seanie O'Shea. And bringing up Ugliuk. There's Johnny Heaney. Diarmuid O'Connor has seen a lot of the ball. Paudie Clifford. Jack Barry. Nice take from Stephen O'Brien. Head down, then the head up, and O'Brien gets to the edge of the D and shoots and scores. That's where they want to be. Galway, well, their defensive system didn't work that well. 5-all. Nothing to see here from a Kerry point of view in terms of panic.
Well, you mentioned earlier when Stephen O'Brien's on it, Dara. I think the word used was wriggling, and that's what he is, a wriggler. The head goes down, he takes on the stand, then he gets up to his full height and sees what's in front of him. He's been brilliant at it for years.
There could be a problem. There is a problem for Paul Conroy, as you see Sean Kelly and Conor Gleeson deep in conversation about the kick-out strategy, but Paul Conroy down injured. I wonder...
there might be no harm that this injury has occurred. Is it a blood? Is it at the nose? I'm not sure, but might just quieten it down a little bit from Galway's perspective.
Twice Galway have had 3-point cushions. It's been wiped out. Kerry have got the last 3 in a row. And this is an interesting kick out for Conor Gleeson from Dunmore McHale's. He's going to belt it long. No short options. They've overloaded the far side, the Cusack stand side, but it's gone right down the middle towards Comer. Foley got a hand in, but Galway win the loose ball. Dylan McHugh. Rob Finnerty. Again, they want to kick it in. Shane Walsh. Walsh gets space on Tom O'Sullivan. Turned back into trouble. Dylan McHugh. Killian McDade taking up a decent position, but now it's John Daly. Morley is waiting inside. The Kerry sweeper makes the whole defensive system, glues it together. Matthew Tierney. Tierney burst through, and a referee playing advantage, free in. Shane Walsh time. There was a jersey pull there. David Moran not at all happy.
Yeah, definitely a foul on the way in. Tierney dummies left, and he just pulled back by the arm by David Moran. Very common foul in games these days, and Sean Herson, very, very sharp, I have to say, in his opening 21 minutes on top of it. And as befits the man, I was just looking in the stats, Dara. This senior final, he's now got the big 3, the minor, the under 20, well, all the old under 21 as we remember it, and now today's senior, well deserving, and he's off to a flyer as well.
No score so far for Damien Comer, but Shane Walsh has been in sparkling form. That brilliant point from play. 3 place balls have gone over as well. 23rd minute.
It's a big one, an important one, they all are.
To regain the lead, and he loves it. Galway by 6 points to 5.
Maybe it's time just to say it there, like it's a cracker, obviously. Goes without saying, the opening 22, 23 minutes have just flown along. and we've been witnessing great scores from hand and from frees all over the place.
Shorter kick out, Morley spilled it, and look at Damien Comer trying to take it back. There's Jason Foley there. Comer will stop him coming out quickly. Gives away the foul. There was a sort of an edgy kick out from Kerry, but there's some space for Diarmuid O'Connor. Galway at the moment with just one sweeper in position. Daly working hard to get back. They launch it in long. He soars again through the sky. David Clifford, second brilliant mark, and you know what's coming next.
Oh, the Eagle has landed again. He just took off, soared as that ball was coming in. He was the first one to notice that it was a little bit short, and he has it over the bar before I can even finish the sentence. He's flying it.
Literally. Well, no sweeper, front, behind, sideways can do anything about that. Brilliant catch.
But he was so quick. He noticed Graham O'Sullivan had kind of under-kicked it, and it wasn't going to break too far beyond the D, and he went to make up the ground.
Gleeson, great distance on it, just stabs it out, but David Moran has it. No, he's lost it again. It's a Galway ball.
There's been some great high catching so far.
Yeah, well, the players are there. They really are. Now, what happened to the Kerry marking there? Kelly moved it on quickly. Here's Rob Finnerty. That relaxed style he has. Matthew Tierney was screaming for it. Two Kerry men around him. Galway men are free. They have to be. Here's Paul Conroy. Turns back in. Never got the shot away. A brilliant block by Stephen O'Brien. O'Brien has been all action. Conroy is down injured. They'll need treatment for him. Galway need to get back. Kerry get going as quick as they can. Stephen O'Brien. Paul Gainey out in front of Kieran Malloy. They drill it in low. That's Sean Kelly's ball. It came up off him. Foul by David Clifford. Kelly didn't hold it first time. He's gone down injured, the Galway captain. What exactly happened to him?
Well, his first touch deserted him. That's what happened to him, Dara. He had it in the tummy, just came out, and then he was just caught in the face. That's a yellow if the referee sees it as that. But, yeah, I would imagine he may have to talk to the umpires about it. He was quite a bit away from it. That will be the issue.
Well, if he'd looked to his right, it was on the big screen. But anyway. So that's Paul Conroy down at the other end of the field. And you could see it happening in, I know it was at full speed, but almost in slow motion. This is the block. Conroy turning back in, gets it onto the left. Here comes Stephen O'Brien.
Not for the first time today. Oh, look at that. And then he follows through, and that's where the injury is. Because he's at full tilt, obviously. There's a yellow card for... Well, they don't want that now. That's a little bit of a bump on the road, shall we say.
So David Clifford has a yellow card for the challenge on Sean Kelly, which did catch him in the face. Look, he was trying to get to the ball.
Well, he did very well, the referee, to figure all that out. I was going to suggest to you when you said, well, it's just been up on the big screen. It was his first final. He might have the cuteness of a Pat McEnany or someone like that to have a peep up at it.
So Pádraig Joyce just having a bit of a consultation with his management team. So off we go. What on earth was that about? The short free to David Clifford. Mistake by Conor Gleeson. Dylan McHugh is there. What were Galway doing? Clifford gets back in onto his left. No, he could go on his right. He's on his left again. Clifford trying to curl it in. They go in high and long. Galway under pressure. Here come Kerry. Shawnee O'Shea forced away from goal. Just couldn't get the shot off. Stephen O'Brien. Galway still a bit in shock. O'Brien should score from here. He's taunting them, teasing them. Stephen O'Brien, oh well, you've got to score. If you do that, if you turn back in again, it's got to go over the bar. It's wide. He's been brilliant.
Well,
not there.
First observation, daftness by Conor Gleeson. I don't know what he was thinking of.
Here it is.
Here it is. Like, maybe it was a rehearsed one, but it's all over the place there, that one.
It needs more work if it was a rehearsed one.
It does. But credit the Galway defenders when the ball broke back out to Shawnee O'Shea. They didn't let him have the shot off, pushed him back out, ends up in a wide.
Galway have kicked no wide, by the way. Kerry have 6 of them.
Very un-Kerry-like, you'd have to say.
Well, didn't they kick just 1 wide in the first half against Dublin in the semi-final?
And I think whatever breeze is in it, it's helping out on the canal end.
It's just like the flags behind the goal seem to be kind of, well, indicating that it's helping Galway. But look, we know what way it swirls around here, the horseshoe effect and all that stuff. But
well, Paul Conroy is back in the action anyway. That's good for Galway.
It is. Killian McDade. 3 years he spent in Australia. Here he is, and we know how athletic he is, how fast he is. There's a little bit of a gap there. He got caught holding onto the ball, almost drew the players in. Here's Shane Walsh. Paul Gainey there with him. Popped in for Killian McDade. There's some space in around the back if they can get somebody in there. Where's Damien Comer? Here's Kieran Malloy. Furthest forward at the moment is Patrick Kelly for Galway.
Well, Tom O'Sullivan is getting a lot of help out on Shane Walsh. Every time he cuts back in, he gets a helping hand so that Walsh can't get the shot off.
Shane Walsh is hugging this near sideline. So this Galway will be patient. They've developed that patience, just waiting for the right moment. Here's Jack Glynn, the 21-year-old. Glynn runs into traffic, got the shot away. Jack Glynn, what a score from young Jack Glynn, the under-20 All-Ireland winning captain from 2 years ago. He seemed to have run into trouble. He kept going. 7-6 Galway.
Well, how well did he do? Exactly. He did look in trouble, but he had a lovely dodge. He went left, and then he had the accuracy with the right to pop it over the bar. Badly needed score for Galway to take the lead again.
We saw Liam Silk coming forward earlier on and having an impact. At times, I know it's sort of it goes with this type of a game with the slower build-up and stuff, but the atmosphere, like there's 82,000 people here, at times the atmosphere just kind of dips down, but understandable, I suppose.
Yeah, this lateral stuff is what kills that kind of, you know, the crowd are invested after a few great scores, and then it just goes back to this slow lateral build-up. Probably suits Galway. I'm sure they'll be the happier team with it.
So the noise, it's like as if they heard us from the Galway fans, and that's been countered by the Kerry followers. Brian O'Biogliuk, David Moran queuing up to take the ball. Graham O'Sullivan there, Brian O'Biogliuk. Paddy Clifford hasn't been as prominent, and Clifford went for the wrong option. Dylan McHugh with the turnover. Massive one for the Galway defence. What a game.
And Paddy Clifford has had a slow start, which will worry Kerry, because we know if he's going well, the brother improves. Although the brother, there's much room left for improvement in him in his first half. But yeah, Paddy Clifford just slow to get into the game to date.
I actually was looking around there for Damien Comer. He's playing like a left half back at the minute, and he's taken Jason Foley out the field with him. So Shane Walsh is the furthest Galway attacker, and they've loaded the forward line at the moment.
And Johnny Heaney is loitering with intent. We know how he steals in around the back. Well, he got the goal chance earlier on doing the same thing, didn't he?
Oh, that's popped up. That's an awful mistake by Dylan McHugh, fresh from the turnover, and Galway have been caught with players up the field. Here's Paddy Clifford, couldn't hang on to it. Jack Glynn was there with him. There was nothing wrong with the challenge. Clifford did brilliantly to win the ball back. John Daly is there for Galway. Here's Dermot O'Connor. Kerry loved turnover time. They turned the ball over after McHugh's mistake. It really wasn't anything they did. It was just a bad hand pass. Shawnee O'Shea, Brian O'Biogliuk, David Clifford. Who else? Kelly's just not tight enough to him. That one, though, is wide, so he's human after all. But it's 7 wides for Kerry.
And if you're following the umpire, he was so surprised he slipped as he was going by to see a David Clifford one go wide. A lot of wides now. What are we up to now?
7-0.
That's very unusual.
So now let's have a look at this kick out from Conor Gleeson. Former Galway United and Athlone Town goalkeeper. When he wants to go long, it is very long, and it just hangs up there. Missed Comer. Shane Walsh, the jersey was being held. He's got it from Tom O'Sullivan. Look at Johnny Heaney. Can they get the ball to him? Walsh held onto it too long. Walsh turns back in. That's not going to trouble Shane Ryan. So that is Galway's first wide after 32 minutes. It took them 21 minutes to score against Derry in the semi-final. They've been flawless up front. There was half an opportunity to get Heaney away.
There was, yeah. Tom O'Sullivan didn't do well on the hot ball. He concentrated on the player when the ball was available. He kept looking at Shane Walsh when he should have attacked the ball. Walsh got the possession, but as you say, just to the right and wide.
Here we go with Jack Barry of Kerry from Naguail. Stephen O'Brien. Paul Gainey, beautiful hands. Referee playing an advantage. Paudie Clifford can't hold on to it. He was juggling with that. I think he knew the free was coming, so it'll be time for the brother to pop the ball over the bar from just outside the D.
Now we'll see this foul here. It's a beautiful exchange. There it is. Yeah. Kerry Malloy comes across him. Great spot by the ref again. Lovely play at the advantage. Well, I like that in a referee. Just let it run out to see, could he get it over the bar? When he couldn't, pull it back, tidied up. Sean O'Shea surely to level it.
Yeah, for the third time. It's not David Clifford taking the free. It's Shawnee.
This will be his opening score by my notes. So he's been quite enough too.
Yeah. Missed that first place ball. Stolen a few metres as everybody does. Sean O'Shea, level for the third time, heading into the last minute of the first half. It's been a gripping, compelling first half. Loads of fabulous football. Sets it up beautifully.
And here's that slow kick out I was talking about earlier on, and why wouldn't he? He's probably going to go long if he can get an overload. Shaping up to the right.
Bunched into the middle. They've left the wings open. Sean Kelly went out for it. They could belt it long towards Patrick Kelly in the right half forward position. That is where it's gone. But Kerry have two players there waiting at the drop zone. But Killian McDade was there too. McDade moves it forward to Rob Finnerty. Galway surging forward. Kerry scrambling defenders back. Here's Killian McDade, and McDade slots it over. All from their own kick out. Patrick Kelly over there. Killian McDade has done a lot of work off the ball. Brilliant in the quarter-final and the semi-final. He's arrived now. That was super from Patrick Kelly.
Well, top-class play by three Galway players that they'll be really happy about. Top-class play. Conor Gleeson initially, Patrick Kelly on the far side, then young Finnerty gets in on the action. Back to, well, four players, back to McDade over the bar.
3 minutes of added time coming up at the end of the first half. Tig Morley. Kerry had pushed up. They had numbers up the field who couldn't get back in time. That was a big opportunity. Well, Galway converted. They used it. Stephen O'Brien tops the ball in. That is Gavin White. Confirmation of the 3 minutes by Jerry Grogan on the PA system here in Croke Park. David Moran lasted 50 against Dublin. Shawnee O'Shea to Brian O'Biogliuk. O'Biogliuk, there's a bit of space there. He's gone past Conroy. Conroy tried to drag him back. Galway crowded the area. The ball breaks loose and Galway turn it over. Their defence have come up with some really big turnovers. Paul Conroy free out Galway.
Well, the big turnover, when we look back at it, will come from Matt Tierney. Threw himself at a loose hand pass and it rebounded off him, but to advantage for Galway. You're going to see it here, just there. Now there he is. That's what you got to do on All-Ireland final day. Maybe that's what Cody means when who do you want to kill to get the ball, and he threw himself full-blooded into it.
Paul Conroy has recovered well after those couple of knocks he suffered. Matthew Tierney. Rob Finnerty. Conroy again. Kieran Malloy out of picture is actually the furthest forward. Killian McDade has gone with him from midfield. Here's Sean Kelly. David Clifford didn't run after Sean Kelly, so he can take his time here. Shane Walsh. McDade has stayed in at full forward. Clifford, the only Kerry player up the field. Here's Paul Conroy. There's some space there for Dylan McHugh. Burst through, no foul. Referee wasn't interested. Now Kerry got to move it quickly. Moran kicks at a massive distance, but David Clifford won't keep that in play. It beats him out of play.
And again, there was pressure brought to bear just as David Moran was kicking that ball. The Galway player flashed across him, and that's why it ended up out over the sideline. They're just going the extra yard at the minute.
Galway 5 points from play. Kerry 2 from play. We wondered how brave Galway would be with their attacks and how many players they'd leave forward, all that sort of stuff. But look at Sean Kelly again, and Kerry needs somebody to tag him if David Clifford isn't going to bother. Here's Paul Conroy. Kelly has continued forward. Galway have left 3 defenders back. There's one of them, Jack Glynn, who scored a point to try and cover David Clifford. Now Kerry have everybody back inside their own 65-metre line. John Daly. Tig Morley is sitting just in front of the Kerry full-back line, that 2-player full-back line at the moment. Here is Shane Walsh again. Paul Gainey there.
Galway were just playing to get a final shot off and kill the clock. That's what was in their mind. Kerry haven't played well, but they're only a point out of it, and that may be some comfort to them.
No, for sure. Johnny Heaney. Patrick Kelly is the furthest forward. There's a height mismatch with Gavin White. Here's Sean Kelly. The handling skills let him down for once. Then he pulled on the ball on the ground. Well, a brilliant basketball player. Sean Kelly is indeed everybody in his family. That was a surprising error, but there was pressure on him. The referee takes the ball, and it's half-time. It's been quite a first half. The narratives and the scripts from beforehand, a lot of them have gone out the window, just as it should be in the biggest game of the year. At the break, it is Galway who lead Kerry by 8 points to 7. Analysis to come. Do not go anywhere.
It has been a very close opening half of this year's All-Ireland football final. You could argue that it's been David Clifford against Shane Walsh so far. Kerry trailing Galway 8 points to 7. Walsh with 5 for Galway. Clifford with 4 for Kerry. What did you make of that opening half?
Enjoyed it, Joanne. I think Galway will have enjoyed it more so. I think they've imposed the way they want to play on the game. Kerry looked jittery, summed up by the wides that they've kicked, but 7 and Galway attacking look as if there's a goal threat there. Kerry at the beginning were going man to man. Galway then were left with a lot of space. We're leaving Shane Walsh the space. He's destroying Tom O'Sullivan. David Clifford. He pulled off a couple of superhuman catches and has that attacking threat. But by and large, we are all talking about if Galway's still in this game at half time. Galway seem to be a better second half team. So I think Joyce will be getting into the change rooms right now and will be fairly comfortable in the position.
Would you talk us through the Galway attack? In some ways, are they managing to cut out Tadhg Morley's role in many ways?
Yeah, they've done it very well, Joanne. But the key man for me has been John Daly. And Kerry are probably sitting a little bit deep at times, but this guy can find a pass. He can execute a pass, and we can see here there's no Tadhg Morley in here. Ball goes in, and you know Sean said it. Shane Walsh is really enjoying himself out there. He's comfortable. He's on his game, and he's extremely dangerous. But here's where Morley kind of is back again. John Daly, no pressure on the kicker, with brilliant diagonal ball into John Heaney over the bar. You can't defend against that. And then again on kickouts, you know he's the man available. Quick pass, immediate kick pass. And this is just incredible. Picks it up, you know. This is what we spoke about before the game. The talent he has. Runs directly at O'Sullivan, comes in, and off his right foot over the bar. Absolute super score. But, you know, you get a sense that Galway will be really happy with their performance, and they've invested a lot of energy and work rate, and they've really worked hard defensively.
There's a big butt coming.
Well, there's only a point in it. Yeah. And Kerry are going in after a really poor, flat, leggy type of performance, and they don't look like they're at it, but they're only a point down. That's, you know, they're gonna get themselves right at half time. But Galway will be really happy with the position they're in, but they've put a lot of energy into that half, and they settled into the game well, and it's been a very, very good Galway performance, but only a point in it.
Yeah, Shane Walsh scored ridiculous and an All-Ireland violent day as well. Kerry, though, they showed their intention, what they were planning to do from the very beginning with those big balls.
Yes, we knew from the throw-in, we knew what was going to happen. Kerry's kicking game, that long ball, and basically to test the high ball into the edge of the square. Unfortunately, sometimes the accuracy hasn't been good. Sometimes it has worked. I mean, we've got 2 points on play in that half, but some of the kicking was very poor. So Gavin White, in this case, I'm not too sure what he was going for outside of the left foot. Was he trying to place it to Clifford? Was he trying to go for point? Instead, it's into the goalie's hand. And I continue. Clifford is unmarkable. I mean, 50-50 ball. He's claiming that this is his, he scored 4 points today, 2 marks, 1 from play, 1 from freeze. He's super under that high ball. What is it? Is it 7 marks in 4 championship games now?
He's playing the strengths too, though. There is a bit of a mismatch in size between him and Kelly.
And that's another good one into Paul Geaney. But you know,
they're not getting those pop passes.
No,
and the runner coming off the shoulder.
At the end of the day,
they've invested everything into that long ball.
A couple of quick things. They have struggled with Galway's defensive system. There's no doubt about that. Galway can open up that Kerry defence. They're getting the shooters in. They've created 1 or 2 goal-scoring chances. Kerry haven't. But it's the shooting. Like, I've never seen a 20 minutes so nervous from a Kerry team in an All-Ireland final. Very, very nervous performance. So un-Kerry-like. But their shooting efficiency, simple out. Galway got 1 wide in the first half. That was in the 32nd minute. Their shooting rate is 73%, 8 out of 11 shots. Kerry, 7 out of 18, 43%. 43% is just simply not good. And one final thing, in Galway, Shane Walsh, unmarkable, absolutely brilliant. I don't know why Tom Sullivan's still being left on it. If your man has scored 2-3 points in play, you'd nearly be changing. That's number 1, Shane Walsh, unmarkable. The defensive system, very good. But you know what they've got right, and we haven't noticed it, and this is one of the reasons why Kerry have been poor in that half. They've got their markups right. They've got Liam Silk is having a blinder on Shawnee O'Shea, who has been anonymous, and Jack Glynn has been brilliant on Paddy Clifford. So 2 Kerry key attackers haven't been in this game.
Yeah, but I almost feel at times there that I think Kerry are that sensitive to the Galway blanket in their defence that, you know, it's destroying their own attack. They're not taking the ball into that area. But there are opportunities to do so, but they're that afraid of getting in there. All of a sudden they've no shape, and all of a sudden you've Clifford out the field. That's exactly where Galway want them. I think Kerry's playing the game on Galway's terms.
Yeah, Kerry have not been great in that opening half. Galway have been very good, and yet, as they were saying, there is just that 1 point in it. What a second half we have in store. First of all, though, here's another chance for you to win big with our competition.
RTE Sport have teamed up with Aer Lingus and Fitzpatrick's Hotels New York to give you the chance to win a holiday for you and a friend to the Big Apple. Aer Lingus, who have 4 daily flights to New York, will fly you direct from Dublin or Shannon Airport, where you will then stay 5 nights in a suite at the elegant Fitzpatrick Manhattan Hotel, located in the heart of Manhattan, close to all the main attractions. Take in Times Square, the Statue of Liberty, a Broadway show, and so much more. And so you can hit the shops. There's $2,000 for your pocket too. For your chance to win, answer this question. Which of these won the All-Ireland Senior Hurling Final 2022? Was it Limerick, Waterford or Kilkenny? To enter, call 15 17 71 71 74 or text the word GAME followed by your answer and name to 57117. Calls from the Air network will cost €2.03. Calls from other networks may be higher. You must be over 18 to enter. Lines will close at midday on Monday, 8th of August. Full details are on rte.ie/competitions, where the lucky winner will also be revealed.
Well, Kerry are very eager. They were out before I think the Go Games children had even finished out on the pitch there. Jack O'Connor and his men ready to go. No sign of Galway in this All-Ireland final. Remember, Kerry a point down, haven't played great, but we see both Spillans, both of Pat's nephews are on. It is Bruno Biogliach who is off. For one of them, we know Killian and Adrian are on, and it's David Moran who has been taken off for the other one. What do we make of that?
The Moran one's a real strange one in my eyes, unless he's carrying a knock or something, because...
Apologies,
No.
15. Somebody made a mistake and they left
Paul
it.
Gainey,
yeah. He's had Paul Gainey.
Yeah, I'd say Killian is in for Paul Gainey. Yes. Bruno Biogliach one is interesting because, you know, Pat alluded to, you know, Shane Walsh is causing damage. Do you free Tom O'Sullivan up and push him forward, but who do you put back down on Shane Walsh? Because they have to pin Shane Walsh down. But I'm not surprised Kerry are going for a little bit more firepower. I think where Stephen O'Brien is getting space, those wing forwards is where they're getting space, where Galway drop in deep, and that's where they need to get scores from around the edges.
Sean, we did have a piece ready to go, which we won't now have time to do, on Galway and the kickouts, because they really, really struggled for a long time in that first half. But did they then start to get back on top of things?
I almost felt it was a strange approach from Kerry, because at the beginning they were pressing hard and they were winning it. They won the first 3 or 4 kickouts clean and getting plenty of joy out of it. And then all of a sudden, you know, they've lost a couple of breaks and then they've stepped off a couple as well. So in my mind, Kerry has been quite timid and hasn't pressed as hard as what they probably should have on that Galway defence. It let Galway out a number of times quite easy, and Galway's got plenty of success on it. So I think that has to change. I think if Kerry wants to win this game, they're going to have to go after Galway at some point. They're going to have to kick out of this sort of stand back and mirror mode, and I think maybe that's what they're doing. We're bringing in this balance.
Six out of Galway's 8 points have come from their kick out. So Conor Gleeson has backed himself, and you're right, it's too easy.
Have you not had a few wobbly moments?
Yeah, but I think, listen, they were always going to test him, Joanne. Yeah, he has. He gave a ball to John Daly, and he wasn't expecting it, but he dealt with the long ones that came in. And also, when he realised after the first few kickouts that Kerry were winning, he adapted and went short. So he did change it. We have to give him some credit there.
Okay, just a point in it, and don't forget there is extra time on the cards if it ends all square after 70+ minutes. So let's head back to our commentators, Kevin and Dara.
Joanne, thanks very much indeed. Yeah, no changes Galway. You've heard about the 2 changes with Kerry, with the 2 Spillane lads in, and they're just been confirmed on the PA system here. Galway, just some other numbers to throw at you. In the first half, 2 points from turnovers. Kerry just 1 point from a turnover. And Kerry, the way they've been playing, normally much higher in the turnover stakes. There's Damien Comer with Tadhg Morley there. So Galway, well, with Matthew Tierney knocked to the ground, they have got a free, and Paul Conroy is taking it. We mentioned the fact that, well, Galway have been slower to use their bench. That's in towards Shane Walsh, and it's come to Damien Comer, free in. There was a push there. Tom O'Sullivan ended up on the deck. It's a massive battle between himself and Shane Walsh. Galway have got a free in.
Well, the in ball is from Paul Conroy after the free. In fact, there's a couple of frees there at the throw-in time. Galway got their deserved one in the end, and there's another foul. That's just Tom O'Sullivan really eager to stop Shane Walsh, get his hands on the ball, and comes through and fouls Damien Comer.
Shane Walsh. Couple from play. 3 place balls. This is further out. And Walsh, it's just such a beautiful kicking style. If he was a golfer, that'd be the sweet spot, right out of the centre of it. 9-7 Galway, first point in the second half.
And we think, we're not sure, because as we said, it's a swirling breeze, but we think it is helping the Galway shooters, that little bit extra, few metres extra from the trailing wind, or breeze perhaps.
So David Moran off the Kerry team, Paul Gainey gone as well. Sean Kelly has been caught. Here's David Clifford now. Clifford off his right boot. And that is Kerry's first point in the second half from David Clifford. Kelly trying to get out in front, marking from the front. Mistake.
Dara, this is unreal what this young man is doing in front of our eyes. You know, 50-50. He's first to the break when Sean Kelly gets caught slightly under the ball on his right foot. Like, we're just taking this for granted that he's just not missing.
Better kick out from Conor Gleeson. They won the short ones in the first half. Kerry were 4-4 on theirs, but Kerry 6 out of 6 on their short kickouts indeed. Kerry,
both of them 100%, I believe, on the shorts. Yeah.
Galway actually were better on the longer ones, 79% on those. Here we go with Rob Finnerty. Graham O'Sullivan just beaten by the beautiful flight on that ball. Jack Glynn. Big first half now. They go long towards Comer, but there's Tadhg Morley, and that's what the sweeper's supposed to do, sit there and protect in front of Comer. Not a good ball in, really. You've got to kick it over the sweeper. Easy to say from up here, I know. Dermot O'Connor. And now Galway are leaving 2 forward as they drop everybody else back. The 2 are Walsh and Comer. Stephen O'Brien, some big plays he made for Kerry in the first half. Tom O'Sullivan, Gavin White, and Shawnee O'Shea. Paudie Clifford, Graham O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan spots a little bit of a gap, and now it's Dermot O'Connor with a bigger gap. O'Connor through for Kerry, and that is more like it. The Galway defence didn't look particularly steady there. Graham O'Sullivan did something different. O'Connor with the point, 9 each.
Yeah, it's a classy point. Lovely cut, lovely angle cut from Dermot O'Connor, and lovely accuracy to curl it. And that's a big point. It's the leveller, and this game is just so alive. It could swing or bounce or explode in any direction.
Dylan McHugh. Clifford and Killian Spillane left forward by Kerry. Shane Walsh, deeper. Comer's in again at full forward. Morley sits in front. Shane Walsh, jersey pulled back a couple of times by Tom O'Sullivan. Advantage been played. Walsh doesn't need to go back for the free. Again, he continues his red-hot first-half form.
Well, I did give, I hope, sufficient praise to David Clifford's last effort. And here we go on this one. It's just unreal.
Pressure on Kerry at kick-out time. Tide Morley had gone wide to initially get it, then does a bit of juggling with it. Shane Walsh is there. Kerry get out of trouble.
Tide Morley did great there. He really was under pressure from Shane Walsh. Shane Walsh was well gassed after the effort, but Morley did terrific to clear his lines.
Having a drink of water now as we follow Stephen O'Brien. Adrian Spillane blocked down off Jack Glynn. And Adrian's still going. He's the older of the two. Not by much though, they're both still in their footballing prime. Here's Graham O'Sullivan, he's only 24, that's a brilliant ball. Galway looked open, was there a foul in there? Clifford! Tawdy Clifford this time with Jack Glynn. He's got the point, level for the 5th time, 10 each. This is boiling nicely.
Well, the first contact is very close to being a foul. Brilliant ball by Graham O'Sullivan. Let's see it there. There's a tangle. He's going for goal, I think, there, Dara. Yeah. It just rises a bit. And he's in the game now. And Kerry badly need Paddy to get his shooting boots and his movement up to the standard they expect of him.
Kerry haven't been in front in this All-Ireland final. Is now the moment for them to strike. They look a different proposition. The 2 substitutions have given them a boost. Here's Shawnee O'Shea. We go back to David Clifford from 40 out. David Clifford, there's the lead for Kerry for the first time in the All-Ireland final in the 42nd minute. He punches the air. It feels different. They're playing much better.
Well, look, we're a long time looking at these finals, Dara, and I've just never seen anything like this from Clifford. He's jumped for joy, and he's trying to get the Kerry support, and now we hear it, because they're in front for the first time.
Will that lift a bit of a burden on them, the pressure that's been on them? Now they win another kick-out, but Galway have got it back. Kerry have outscored Galway by 4 points to 2 since the match restarted. Here come Galway. That's Johnny Heaney. Heaney been forced back out the field, but he'll run and run all day. He's been around a long time. He's still only 27. Here's Killian McDade. Paddy Clifford is down injured, out of picture at the moment, so we'll follow the ball, follow the play. Jack Glynn is still marking him even while he's down receiving treatment. Here's Damien Comer. Comer spins away from Foley, turns back into traffic. John Daly a long way from home. Here's Killian McDade, must score, and does score for Galway. They had several bites at the cherry there. The Kerry lead lasted about 45 seconds, 11-all.
Well, it all goes back to the Paddy Clifford and Kieran Malloy tango for the ball, and he came off second best. Malloy got the turnover, and Galway got it to a man they always want to get it, as Damien Comer. The minute he goes down the end line, people start getting frightened, because he's a very direct runner. He's coming off, I think, with a blood, is it?
Yeah, it is. Jack Savage just on temporarily. Cairns O'Reilly's. There's Kevin Cassidy, famous face in the crowd. The Donegal great. So Paddy Clifford just off for a little bit until they can stem the flow. Jack Savage on. Minor winner in 12 and 13. Shane Ryan with the big boot. He can kick it a mile as well. Matthew Tierney was in there. Kerry win the kick out. Galway have got to get back. Here's Stephen O'Brien. Shawnee O'Shea. Gavin White. There's a little bit of a stumble. And there's Killian Spillane. And, well, he'll have good memories of that goal from the 19 final, remember? But that, well, he'll try and forget that one pretty quickly. That is wide number 8, still 11 each.
That's a cracker. The second half has opened up very much like the first, and there's an expectation that this is going to go down to the wire because these teams are matched up so well.
Shane Walsh just glides over the ground. Walsh, this is difficult. This is very difficult. But you know what? It's absolutely brilliant. It is a sensational score from a sensational player. At one end, we've Shane Walsh. The other end, we've David Clifford. Take a bow, Shane Walsh.
Well, clear the pitch of the other 14 on each side, I'd say, and let the two of them at it, because this is sensational. I've never seen anything like this in an All-Ireland final. Maybe Pádraig Joyce all those years ago, but these two men are just bending the final to the shape. Magnificent.
Here come Kerry. Now the crowd are really getting stuck into this. Shawnee O'Shea. That's Jack Barry. Dermot O'Connor already at a big play in this second half. Killian Spillane. That's the job, and that is a fabulous score. And again, the mental toughness, having missed one about 60 seconds, 90 seconds ago.
Every time there's a forward play, I'm dipping for my marker every time to log a score, because the accuracy levels are off the charts. As you said, little bit of a wobble with the previous one, but the nerve and the skill to slide it over on the hillside.
Level 7 times. Matthew Tierney. Finian O'Lye is going to come in for Galway. He's been their first sub. Pádraig Joyce doesn't lean too heavily on the bench. He will in the last few minutes if things are going Galway's way. Rob Finnerty just shovels it off to Paul Conroy. Conroy has Shawnee O'Shea there with him. Conroy spins back around. That's very difficult. And it's also going to be kept in play. Brilliant by Johnny Heaney. That was different. Here's Liam Silk. They work it out the field. Kieran Malloy from Corofin, and Malloy scores for Galway. What a game this is. What an absolute cracking All-Ireland final. 13-12. Finian O'Lye is in. 47th minute.
Well, I couldn't pick out the Kerry defender that fell asleep. And the ball is recycled out to Kieran Malloy. And the accuracy again that I've been talking about is just unreal. And now they slip into a 1-point lead again.
Pádraig Clifford is back on. They've stopped the nosebleed. Shane Ryan, it's another boomer, but Dylan McHugh gets on with it quickly. He was going to take the mark. Killian McDade. Kerry look open. McDade steadies down. McDade from 35 away. It's a brilliant score again from Killian McDade. It's turning into a shootout. They've opened up a 2-point lead. Twice in the first half they led by 3. Galway 14, Kerry 12. McDade's score, he's coming more into the game in the middle of the field. Pádraig Clifford, they go in long. It's over David's head though, and Malloy could have caught that. Well, obviously he felt it wasn't worth the risk. It went way over David Clifford's head. Turnover time. Kieran Malloy. Little moments, a boost for Galway. Kerry had started the second half so well, really owned the first 7-8 minutes from play. Look at those numbers. That's up towards Shane Walsh, but there's too many Kerry fellas there from a Galway perspective. Toddy to Sean O'Shea. Jack Barry. Stephen O'Brien. Kerry showed great resilience in the Dublin match. Remember how they were pushed back? This is Graham O'Sullivan. Now that could turn out. Gleeson is a long way from home. Here's Spillane, he goes down. Referee's going to give a free in. Conor Gleeson, maybe a rush of blood to the head. Well, he'll tell you, I've stopped the ball going into the back of the net. The free, maybe, and a point, a small price to pay.
Well, there might be another price, because I see the other Spillane. The other Spillane
is a pull down, by the way.
Is looking for a black card. Yeah. I don't like to see that particular side of the game, I must say. Let the referee make his own decision in conjunction with the others. But it will be a consideration. He might be satisfied with the free in, but he has a decision to make. Let's have a look.
Deliberate pull down. The hands are on him there for a bit. Killian Spillane. Oh.
Well, it's in the territory, isn't it? And I think he will have a chat with him. Yeah, he will. It's black card, but he's leaving it, is he?
Okay. Yeah.
He is.
Now I was looking again the replay, which, well, there's days when you see them and days when you don't. The replays have been showed to the supporters here in the stadium, and that's a big moment. Shawnee O'Shea pops over the free. Conor Gleeson is fortunate.
Well, I think he made a bad decision initially anyway. He had no business coming out on that particular ball. And Kerry did very, very well. Young Flan got on top of it, but that certainly looked odd. That's a black card, I think. You know, it's almost a trip as well as everything else.
So the short kick out. Jack Glynn, off he goes away from Clifford, and now there's open road in front of the Clare Galway youngster. Shane Walsh was screaming for the ball to be played to him. He got free. That hush around the ground again. That's a risky one. Dylan McHugh is going to come under pressure from Clifford. Finian O'Leigh to Matthew Tierney. He's their vice captain. He's only 21 years of age. This is all very tight. Finian O'Leigh. Back around Paul Conroy. Kerry pressing high. David Clifford is the only Kerry player who's been left up the field.
That's all you need, isn't it?
That's a fair point. Here's Damien Comer. Finian O'Leigh. Johnny Heaney is trying to get free. Finds himself in at full forward a lot. He's come back out. I think they were going to send the ball in long to him.
And I always say after a protracted period of this over and back lateral play, if you can get the score after it, it's very demoralising for the opposition. And that's what Galway will be hunting.
Kieran Malloy got away from Adrian Spillane. Finian O'Leigh is there with him. He's got a taste for the scoring now. Paul Conroy drops it short. There was pressure put on him just as he got the shot away, which certainly had a part to play in that dropping into the arms of Shane Ryan. So it really is in the melting pot now. Who will it be? Galway or Kerry? Here's Gavin White. Jack Barry. Again, he seems to have been around years. He's only 27. Brian O'Biogliuk. Runners off the shoulder. It's Graham O'Sullivan. This is what they do so well. That's how you beat a crowded, clustered defence. We're level for the 8th time.
And Graham O'Sullivan has thundered into this second half, Dara. He's coming off shoulders, he's making himself available, he's busy, he's accurate, and he's got the leveller.
John Daly, easy for Conor Gleeson to find him that time. Sean Kelly. David Clifford is going back with them, but he's not going to put pressure on Sean Kelly, who's staying involved. That's a risky one. Move breaks down, wrong decision. And at the big moments in the games, you've got to make the right decision. And Sean Kelly has a long way to travel to get back there. And there's his direct marker, David Clifford.
And that was John Heaney stopping the play, and the ref was about to as well. He's lucky if the play it on.
Paddy Clifford. Galway have their 2 sweepers. That's John Daly coming out, and that's going to be a free in. There was a jersey pull there. They can go in front for the second time with this free.
Well, now what's going to be interesting from my viewpoint is we have 20 minutes left. Well, less than 20, but there will be when we put on the extra time for injuries, etc. Is the fitness levels, what's in the tank now? And we're going to start talking about the substitutes bench and the relative strengths and so on, because both teams have given this a fair wallop down the opening 50 minutes.
Yeah, and it's warm. David Clifford. Yeah, done it again. So that's the lead for the second time in the match. 15 points to 14. 3 in a row.
Galway subs warming up to my right, but of course Kerry lads also warming up to my left. So managers and managements are thinking of introducing a few members of the cavalry.
Gleeson belts it long towards Comer. Jack Barry was there with him. Galway win the ball. Killian McDade. They managed to get players to the drop zone there. Here's Paul Conroy. These are big moments in this All-Ireland final. Killian McDade, will that hang on? No. Now, in fairness, they've been ridiculously efficient. That's only their second wide. But they're behind now.
Well, that's been the big improvement in the Kerry play in the second half. They've had only one wide as well, and their accuracy levels have shot up. They needed to, because they were fairly kicking the wides in the first half. Can we get them up to 7? So, yeah, they've settled now in terms of looking at the posts.
Stephen O'Brien, look at Damien Comer. Catch by Conor Gleeson. So one cancels out the other. They had the Conroy effort, and then that Stephen O'Brien is dropped them short. While since Galway last scored. Kerry on average conceding 12 points per game in the championship. Of course, just 1 goal in those championship games. Galway have been conceding on average 15 points, so Kerry are there now. Here's Damien Comer if you need a goal.
Well, what would a goal do to this game? It'd blow it wide open, wouldn't it, for whichever side could conjure one up.
Galway have been scoring a healthy amount of goals. That's a risky one. Brilliant hands and a great turnover for Gavin White. And Kerry, how quickly can they attack? They had their defenders and outfield players back in position, so they couldn't get forward with it quickly. Briano Bioglio. Killian Spillane, Paddy Clifford. Micheál Burns is going to come in for Kerry. Here's Paddy Clifford. They lead by a point in the All-Ireland final. You can double that now. 2 clear, Paddy Clifford. 56th minute, 4 points without reply.
That's a gorgeous point. Lovely little bit of interplay. Looks to his right, might pass it now, moves on to his left. Now he's front of goal, and he has a bit of pace behind him. And lovely curler with the kit though. And now there's a 2-point lead.
Stephen O'Brien put in a serious shift for his team. Micheál Burns from Dr. Crokes will bring a massive amount of pace and no little skill either. Really good footballer. Kerry lead by 2. 2014, the last time they won Sam Maguire under Eamon Fitzmaurice. Galway, you go back, all the way back to 2001. Kieran Malloy. Paul Conroy. Johnny Heaney. Now Heaney goes long, but Damien Comer was in there, but it was really overhit. Now Paul Conroy is been taken off by Galway, which is certainly a blow for them. Cathal Sweeney, a very able replacement, but Conroy's one of the Galway leaders. Cathal Sweeney from Salt Hill, Knocknacarra, wearing 19.
Well, that last effort from Johnny Heaney, well, it really overshot the runway, didn't it? I think he was trying to get in on top of Damien Comer. And just the adrenaline, the stress of the match now been beautifully poised. And he missed out by 5-6 metres, I'd say.
Shane Ryan, Galway haven't scored in, it's approaching 11 minutes now. The 2-point lead has been turned on its head. There's Micheál Burns up to David Clifford. Kelly's behind him. 59th minute in Croke Park. Is this to be his day when he gets his hands on an All-Ireland senior medal? There are some of them in that Kerry panel, but not a whole pile. Here's Gavin White. Dylan McHugh just backing off. Killian Spillane. Jack Barry didn't want to shoot. Shawnee O'Shea. Different type of performance from him. Graham O'Sullivan. Big second half. It's got quite dark overhead. Maybe my weather forecasting days are over. I was hoping we'd get to near 5 o'clock with no rain.
It's all gone so quiet all of a sudden, hasn't it? Just the oxygen been taken out of the game.
Bring it up, Yogliuk. Get it to David Clifford. Or to Paddy. That's Jack Glynn in front of him. They've had a great duel, the two of them today. That's an unusual ball. But my word, it worked. Tom O'Sullivan, he knows how to score. 7 points this year. O'Sullivan off the outside of the left boot. And we're going to go to Hawkeye. They are not sure.
Well, the Hill were urging it, or else trying to influence it. But Hawkeye it is.
This is wide. That's what we're hearing from our friends in Hawkeye land.
Well, it's always instructive if you keep an eye on the player, and he turned away very quickly. He wasn't celebrating, that's for sure.
Okay, so that's wide. Now, put yourself in Jack O'Connor's shoes and then Porrick Joyce's shoes. What do you do? Well, Kerry want to keep pushing on. Galway have got to change things.
They certainly do, and this is the issue that I flagged to you a few minutes ago, that when he looks behind him and looks at the bench, he hasn't had any big game changers. Finian O'Lee, we know he comes on regularly, but not many big contributions on the board either in terms of scores. So he is going to have to juggle it some way or other. Paul Conroy is now gone out of the equation. That's a big loss for them. But my sense is if they're going to hold on, Kerry will push. Sorry, if Galway don't push it on, Kerry will open this lead now nice and gingerly. Probably need a goal, Dara, is what I'm saying.
Last 10 minutes inside that. Owen Finnerty will be on for Galway. Here's Killian McDade, and McDade sandwich. That's a free in. Well, that is tight marking, tough tackling, and McDade was crunched.
Referee called for medics in immediately, so there might have been some head contact. We'll see it in the replay here. Well, they're pretty square up to them. Bang. Yeah, this is the All-Ireland final. These are the moments. And he's earned his free the hard way for sure.
Yeah. Certainly has. And they need a score. Now look, they're only 2 points behind, but I suppose it's just the trend of the game, the way it has gone since the 47th minute when they were leading by 14 points to 12. 4 unanswered points. This is another look at it. It's just the way his head jarred around. 15 minutes since Galway's last score.
Can I make a point on the Tom O'Sullivan point, the Hawkeye point we'll call it, or the Hawkeye non-point? It is on the right-hand post, the one we know that has been a bit dodge for Hawkeye all summer, and he's been debating away with the
Let's
referee.
show you. Here it is.
I think we've a full on, have we? Okay. Well, this will give us a great sense of it.
Have a look.
No, guys. Oh, wide. Oh, wide. Okay, great call.
Actually wider than it appeared on the graphic, but anyway, I know those things can be exaggerated at times. Now look, Paul Conroy's gone off. They can't do it without this fella, Killian McDade. And I think the concussion, looking at the way his head jarred around, that'd be the big worry. And if there is a concern there, well then All-Ireland final or not, Killian McDade has to come off the Galway team. Owen Finnerty is replacing Johnny Heaney, and Heaney races off the field. Finnerty from Mount Bellew Moyloch.
No, Killian McDade was certainly shook. The bonus is that it's with Shane Walsh, and that should end up a score and bring it back to 1. Very interesting. Very interesting, the conversation Tom O'Sullivan is trying to convince the referee.
Yeah, so now Brian O'Biogliok is off the Kerry team, and Paul Murphy, the veteran in inverted commas from 2014, his 41st championship appearance. Doesn't exactly weaken things, does it? He's a big performer, has been for Kerry over the years. Now this is huge. They have gone since the 47th minute without a score, Galway. Killian McDade is okay. He's been sublime, majestic. Shane Walsh, they need this badly. Shane Walsh, he's got it. There's just a point between them. Massive kick for Walsh.
Well, every ball now is literally your life on it, isn't it? It's 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes, depending on what the referee gives us. Point game. Porrick Joyce roaring them on. Jack O'Connor likewise. It's game on now for the last 10.
Yeah, and as the underdogs, this is where Galway said they wanted to be, a point behind within touching distance inside the last 10 minutes. Here's Patrick Kelly, massive take from Damien Comer, wasn't it? Here he is again. Comer can pop it in and does so to Killian McDade. McDade scored there, level. Brilliant football, 4 for Killian McDade. 2 in a row.
Well, look at Comer. Oh, wow, what a jump. Gets in front of Graham O'Sullivan. And McDade, his 4th from midfield in an All-Ireland final, 4 from play.
9 times level. Remember, if it's still level after 70-odd minutes, we have extra time. And then, if that's still level, you're talking replay after it. But there's a massive amount of football still to be played in this final, isn't there? Here's Killian Spillane. 16 each. 2 big points in quick succession from 2 big players for Galway. Walsh and McDade. Here's Micheál Burns. Kerry so disheartened after the 2019 game, then the Munster final, the late Cork goal, the Tyrone defeat last year. And Jack O'Connor has come in and they have stormed their way. Off Killian McDade, Jason Foley was there, and they really dug out the Dublin game, didn't they? Having lost their way, it showed massive character and grit and determination to get over the line with the Shawnee O'Shea free. Here we go, and this is Paul Murphy. Remember his pass laid on to win the free. Damien Comer won't let him by. Massive turnover from Damien Comer. Murphy came back at him. There's no foul. It's just going one way, then the other. Finian O'Leary picks it up for Galway. Slip from John Daly. Killian Spillane there with him, and the referee has given a free in to Kerry. A free in to Kerry against John Daly.
Bird holding the hand, the defender looking for the hand. Now let's see, did he? Probably yes, he is. See it wrapping up there. Referee, absolutely outstanding call by Sean Herson. We see it so often, but refs sometimes don't have the nerve to call it.
Was he not trying to just get the Spillane's hand off? Anyway, look.
Don't think so, Darren.
Okay, that's fine.
He's under pressure. He has nowhere to go.
David Clifford being told to move back by the linesman. This is tricky, but we know that left boot he's got. It's a magic wand. And David Clifford is converted. Another magic trick. Another incredible score from an astonishing player. Kerry 17, Galway 16.
I'll say it again, I've just never seen anything like it, Dara. Either end, Shane Walsh, Galway, but this man, Clifford, like the enormity of that free, the pressure, the stress. A few minutes left on the clock of normal time, and they're 1 up.
And that's their first score in a 10-minute period. So Galway have got to climb the mountain again.
Now turnovers, anything like that now are huge plays at this moment.
Kerry have been winning tight games. The Dublin game was tight. The Mayo game in the league was tight. Here's Patrick Kelly, now out to Kieran Malloy. Never going to shoot from out there. There's nobody waiting inside. It's recycled back to Cathal Sweeney. 67.5 minutes. If you're a neutral, you don't want it to end. John Daly. That is Owen Finnerty. Shane Walsh. Get it to him, get it to Comer. That's what they'll be thinking. They're a point behind. Shane Walsh, Killian McDade. There's a big gap in behind. There was nobody from Galway standing in the D. Morley was there, but he's on the 20-metre line. Kerry, they trust this system. Here goes Dylan McHugh. McHugh turns back in. Burns had gone with him. Killian McDade. He's hot at the moment. McDade with the shot. He's put it wide. Well, he was right to back himself. He's had a big, big second half. The shooting form hot. That's wide though. That's a biggie. They've only kicked 4, 3 of them in the second half. Last 2 minutes.
Great pressure by the Kerry defender again. With the excitement, I'm following the play. I didn't see who got into his eye line, but if we have a peep at the replay, we will catch him because great effort. That's why he went wide. Otherwise, he has the time and the accuracy to score it.
.90 seconds. They'll add at least 4 on, will they?
You'd imagine so. The medics have been on a few times.
Yeah. Kerry leading by a point at think I read that their 1-point win over Dublin was only their 6th by the bare minimum in the championship since 1960. Doesn't happen that often. Killian Spillane heading towards the end line. Spillane goes for glory, goes for the point with the fist, and Kerry lead by 2 in the last minute of normal time. Some people don't like those type of points with the fist. If you're from Kerry, you care not a jot. They lead by 2.
If you're from Kerry, you love them. And he did all the hard work himself. Lovely skill, very narrow angle, and he got it off. Now what's happened?
Wow, okay. So the point has gone up. It's on our graphics here. It's on the big screen as well.
I think it's the kick-out. There was an issue on the kick-out.
Okay, right, so the point stands. So there's been an infringement of kick-out time. We'll try and clarify that. We're going to have 5 additional minutes as well. Have Galway looked like scoring a goal? I'm trying to remember. But here we go. 18-16. The point was good. Here's a chance for another one. Gleeson can't hold it. The referee, well, says play on. Galway had a defender inside the 20-metre line when the ball was kicked. Killian McDade. They need, well, another point. They'd love a goal to put them ahead. McDade goes down. Kerry will give away frees out there. They have a 2-point lead, having been level just 5 minutes ago. If you were looking for a tight game, if you were looking for a cliffhanger, well, this is it. And that is the foul by Graham O'Sullivan on Killian McDade. Here's the kick out, and here's the problem. There you can see it was Kieran Malloy who didn't get out quickly enough.
That's a big error at this moment in the game. This is Walsh territory.
Yeah. There's been a yellow card to Graham O'Sullivan in there. So now, Shane Walsh. There's still loads of time. Well, not loads, but you know what I mean. This has got to go over.
Comer is going to be in there loitering, I'm sure.
Yeah, but dropped short. They've loaded the large parallelogram. Walsh, it's on its way from Shane Walsh. The reaction of the fans will tell you, oh, he's missed it. He's put it wide on the near side. What a time for his shooting to let him down. 5 wides now. So these kickouts are just huge. Shane Ryan held his nerve at the end of the Dublin game. The Rathmore man, Tyke Morley, gave him the option.
Kerry will know now that the one score that can't cough up will be the goal, that if they keep it tight and keep it right, they should be able to sneak it.
Paddy Clifford was close to scoring a goal in the second half. Joe O'Connor, who is actually the team captain. He was nominated by Austin Stacks after their championship success, but he's found it hard to get into this team. Shawnee O'Shea is the captain on the field, and here is the man. O'Shea in around the back to Gavin White. This could seal it. White goes again with the fist, and they lead by 3. And is that the winning line? Is that the home straight navigated for Kerry with less than 3 minutes to go? Galway need a goal.
Well, a terrific pass by Sean O'Shea over the defence, and Gavin White took it at full stretch, and he did the wise move. No need to be a hero, going for the goal. Flicks it over, 3-point lead now. Dangerous lead, of course, but with the minutes ticking down, a huge pressure on Galway to develop a goal chance.
Yeah, and this is going to go long. They're all lining up, waiting for the kick out. Well, it actually went short. Remember, Paul Conroy is off the field of play.
All the Kerry players are well back in their own half of the field now.
Just to try and
the
shut
goal
this
chance.
out.
Yeah.
If you're from Kerry, 8 years is a long time to wait for an All-Ireland. Have Galway got some sort of a routine, or is it just going to be luck to try and get a goal? That's going to drop a bit short towards O'Leary. Got a touch to it. It's come through to Shane Ryan. And now, well, Kerry, can they keep the ball for under 2 minutes? That's a dangerous game in its own way, but look how many players Galway have forward. They have to force the issue, and they are going to take risks at the back. There's the out ball to Micheál Burns. Burns pops it in towards Shawnee O'Shea. He turns and faces towards goal. Gleeson has come out a long way from home. They could really seal it now, and Gleeson's given away the free. And that could be as good as a point now at this stage. Kerry supporters around us punching the air, celebrating, because they can take their time over this, whether it goes over or not. with the time. Well, if it does go over, that's 2 scores between them. Gleeson was a long way from home again.
Yeah, he had to make the decision, and he decided to come and meet the play.
So Galway, that's Niall Daly, Matthew Tierney off. So this should put it beyond doubt. You never say never. Here's Seanie O'Shea, and there is the point. That puts them 4 clear. Point number 20 for Kerry. They lead by 4. Is Jack O'Connor going to do it again? In each of his, well, the 2 previous administrations, his reign as Kerry manager, he won the All-Ireland in the first year. Kieran Malloy just to hit a note. Ryan's come out off his line. That could go anywhere, but Kerry have got it. They've got it with Adrian Spillane. Just seconds remaining. They are so close, Kerry, to getting their hands on Sam Maguire again. It'll be a free out. The referee's going to issue a card as well for the foul on Diarmuid O'Connor. They've had so much heartache over the last few years. Tyrone last year, the Munster final, that really wet night in COVID times. The 2019 final, their chance the first day. There's a yellow card now. The 5 minutes have been and gone. That's Cathal Sweeney. After the hurling final, this had a lot to live up to. With these 2 teams, it has not disappointed. It's been a gripping game. And Kerry, well, what a response from them with 4 unanswered scores in the last 5 minutes, just when Galway got level. Sean Kelly, 4 between them. They need a goal and a point to force extra time, and that's just in around the house and see, and it's going to go dead. It's gone out and it's gone wide, and that is it.
That is it. That is it. Kerry are champions, and deservedly so.
David Clifford, some very special moments. There'll be people looking at the tape of his performance for years and years to come. He's been talked about, I'm sure, since he was in his early teens, about this incredible talent. And now he gets his hand on an All-Ireland senior medal. Kerry have got the keys to the kingdom back. They are All-Ireland champions for the 38th time. Jack O'Connor and his management team have done it again. Kerry back at the top of the mountain. They're the champions. And David Clifford has his All-Ireland medal. He had such a tussle and duel with Sean Kelly. The Galway fellas, well, they went down with their boots on for sure. There's no doubt about it. They just ran out of legs. They ran out of time. Poor Joyce, well, he'll be bitterly disappointed. But they did their county, their clubs, their families proud. But today belongs to Kerry.
Oh, no question. Congratulations, Kerry. A terrific one. What did you say? The last 4 points in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, unanswered. That's the form. That's the class of champions. And remember, they've taken out Dublin, they've taken out Mayo, and now today Galway. So what can you say? I suppose the 5 in a row minors, they've come of age. And what's that going to mean for the future for the rest of the country? It's a tremendous win, and they'll be thrilled with it because it was done the right way. It was a great match. It was a great match, Dara. And like the work of Clifford, and of course we have to mention Shane Watt, but Clifford, of course, it's all about the glory now of the championship going to the kingdom. Clifford's effort, almost single-handed, you know, winning the cup down south. It's a magnificent effort for them. We often think, you know, there's a lot of hard-luck stories in sport, and that's Galway's lot today. But look at the glory that Kerry have brought back to their county. I think they're trying to describe it as a famine. I'd say peckish at the most from my viewpoint of what a famine might look like, but it's magnificent for them. They did it the right way. Some great football, some great football, and Congorgigas Kerry absolutely deserving champions.
Yeah, the Sam Maguire has been away from the kingdom for a long time. Jack O'Connor just over offering his commiserations to Pádraig Joyce. Jack said he wanted his players to enjoy it. I'm not sure if they were enjoying it too much during the first half. The introduction of the Spillanes at half-time certainly had a big impact. But, you know, Kevin, as well, Kerry in tight matches, like in the 56th minute, they got a burst of and a flurry of 4 unanswered points. That put them 16-14 ahead. They had been 2 points behind. Then Galway come back at them and hit them hard with 2 points to go level, and then they're able to push again.
Yeah, and then the finish. Absolutely magnificent.
Yeah,
You've referenced it a few times.
Okay, let's just give you the full-time score from the 2022 All-Ireland Senior Football Final. Kerry, 20 points. Galway, 16. Well, we're going to get some reaction now very shortly from the victorious Kerry camp. I think if you had the thesaurus out, you'd struggle to come up with the adequate ways to describe the performance of David Clifford. As Kevin says, there was a brilliant performance from Shane Walsh, but David Clifford, different planet. And here he is with Damien. We're going to hear from him very, very shortly. Somebody's just taken David Clifford off somewhere else, but I think we're going to hear from another David and another big performer. I'm actually just looking down. We've got 2 Davids. We've double David. We have David Moran and David Clifford. Let's hear from them both with Damien.
Thanks very much, Dara. 2 Davids, huge congratulations first of all. David Moran, David Clifford, you got over the line. How did you do that?
I think in fairness it was a real panel effort. The guys that came in made a huge difference. We've trained very hard all year. We backed our fitness, and you know, as the game went on, we thought we were getting stronger. It's fantastic.
David, your performance throughout from start to finish, unbelievable. What does it feel like for you now, just moments after that final whistle?
It's very hard to put it into words. I suppose it's something, I think it's very obvious. It's something that I've dreamt of all my life. I was always confident we would get over the line, even though the last few years didn't work out for us. But no, it was unbelievable. To hear the crowd getting at our back there in the second half was unbelievable.
David, the injuries you had last year might have put all this at risk. Were you always adamant, get over those injuries and come back and play here for Kerry again?
I am now anyway. I think so. Like once I spoke to Jack and I decided to come back, it was just put the head down and get back. So,
David, congratulations to the 2 of you. Well done.
Where are the kids? I don't know.
Well, there are several happy Kerry people. Paul Galvin right in the heart of them. What a result and what a performance. Very emotional. Jack O'Connor there as well, Pat Spillane.
It was. To get.
Oh, apologies. Larry McCarthy, clearly, Uchtón Cumbalú Clotwell is getting ready to hand over Sam Maguire.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and give a round of applause to Sean Herson and his team of officials for their contribution to today's game. They are undoubtedly, ladies and gentlemen, the unsung heroes of the GAA. Our gratitude as well to our partners, Ayr, SuperValu and AIB, sponsors of the GAA Football Championship. Today, we finish a wonderful inter-county season and we turn the calendar to the most important part of the GAA and the Club Championship. And that gives our clubs an opportunity up and down the country and indeed around the world to show all that is good about the GAA. Tonight, tomorrow and in the next couple of days, ladies and gentlemen, many people will analyse this game. Let our reviews be tempered by the realisation that everybody who participated in our game today is an amateur, is a volunteer and is a member of our association. Our critiques should not degenerate into personal attacks on individuals. It now gives me great pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to present the Sam Maguire Cup to Sean O'Shea from the Kinmare Shamrocks.
Well, 8 years for Kerry without the All-Ireland. It's their 3rd longest spell without Sam Maguire. Joe O'Connor and Seanie O'Shea are there. Seanie O'Shea will raise the Sam along with Joe to the sky because Kerry are All-Ireland Senior Football Champions for the 38th time. 8 years, it is a famine for Kerry, but they will enjoy this evening because that famine is over. And the All-Ireland title, Sam Maguire, belongs to Kerry again.
Uchtón le Héireann, Uchtón Cumbalú Clotwell, agus Greedy Usta. Toss and down arm on Carn Short Locker, Ersel Fern, Penakiri! It's more privilege agus an ordonsa. agus Ardale Shea McCree, shots of Unsharnov, their son Farnoon Duckshaw, agus Winter Kerry Galair. Volum breaks Morgan Wall, the Crease to Kerry, as up to the Kirk to four Marlon Blaine Dan Lewis, the chairman Patrick O'Sullivan, Peter Twist, and all the officers of the county board, Mila Breakers lads. On behalf of myself and Joe, I'd like to give a special mention to our clubs, to the Austin Sachs clubs for nominating Joe and giving him the honour of the captain Kerry this year. He's been a wonderful leader for us on and off the field all year. To my own club, Kenmare Shamrocks, for all you have done to me, for me since I was a young fella, I really appreciate it, and I wouldn't be without the people in the club, I wouldn't be here today. To our long-standing and loyal sponsors, Kerry Group, a wonderful company. We really appreciate your support over the last number of years. You're really loyal sponsors of us. We look forward to continuing that relationship in the years ahead. As with all teams now, there's an army of people in the background. We're looking at it in Kerry. We have some of the best in the business behind us and getting us here today. Wouldn't it be possible to get up these steps today without you? To our selectors, Mike Quirk, Dermot Murphy, for all the work you've done throughout the year, lads. You've been incredibly diligent in your work on and off the field. You've been a massive addition to us, and we thank you for all the work you've done throughout the year. To our coach, Paddy Talley. He's made the long journey down from Tyrone to us this year. Paddy, we appreciate the commitment you made to us. Safe to say you're an honorary Kerry man now, and you're welcome in the kingdom any day. The RSNC team, Arthur Fitzgerald, John Barry, and headed by the outstanding Jason McGann. The shape these fellas are in today, lads, are a credit to you. We're really grateful for all the work you put in all year. To our performance coach, Tony Griffin. Tony, you've been like a best friend to this group since you came into us. You've bonded with us from day one, Tony. The work you've done has been evident. This today and 2 weeks ago, coming down the stretch, we battled, we were there, we were resilient. We thank you for all the work you've done. To our medical team, physios, Jimmy Galvin, Paddy McQuinn, Messrs. Lee Regan and Harry O'Neill, and doctors Mike Finnerty and John Rice. We threw some queer ones at you throughout the year, lads, but you always had the answers. To our kit man, Colin Whelan, a perfectionist, we thank you for all your work, Colin. And to his right-hand man, Brendan Griffin, our in-house referee. Kevin Beasley, Gavin Rackard, Brendan Fitz in nutrition, our goalkeeping coach, Brendan Keeley, and Colin Trailer and John C. O'Shea on stats. Thanks for all the work behind the scenes, lads. Then finally, there's one man responsible for putting that all together. When he came back this year, there was only one thing on his mind. He wanted to bring this cup back to Kerry. That man is a great leader of men, the one and only Jack O'Connor. To our families, to those with us today, and those guiding us from above, and to our partners, wives and girlfriends, as the support you give us, you're all over here, is incredible. We wouldn't be able to do this without you. We're really grateful. You're there in the good times and the bad. Thankfully today is one of the good days, and we can't wait to enjoy it with you. To Galway, lads, what a battle, what a team. You kept coming back at us there in the second half. We could never get you away. Really good sporting game, boys. We were there a couple of years ago. No doubt you learned from this, and you're back. Big law, Griff. Finally, to our wonderful supporters. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts, lads. Never underestimate what you do for us. When we're down, when things are tough, you get behind us, you get us going. We love you all, lads. The colour around the county these last few weeks has been incredible. And we look forward to seeing you all back in Kerry tomorrow night. Tá Samik top the rush, good area, Kerry to Joe!
Well, great passion shown from Sean O'Shea, not for the first time this season either, or for the last few years since he came in as a young man onto this Kerry team. And also really important to acknowledge Joe O'Connor, of course, who is the captain of Kerry this year, but obviously Sean O'Shea, the playing captain today. Pat Spillane. Yeah, have you a tear in your eye?
Yes. I swear to God, it's a lovely way to finish. But, you know, my time is something in because, look, I'm a passionate Kerry man. I'd be critical of them at times. And, you know, we knew there was a very talented bunch coming through, but talent doesn't necessarily mean to win all Ireland. You know, we were getting impatient there. But this year, I saw a different bunch this year. I saw a resilient bunch. And it's brilliant to see David Clifford delivering and getting an All-Ireland medal. And just from a personal point of view, in 1964, my father was a selector for Kerry against Galway. And the night before the game, he had a pain in the chest. Wouldn't go to the doctor. Went to the game the following day as a selector and was dead on Tuesday. And Kerry-Galway matches, to me, always bring back this memory. And my father never saw us play the three sons. And today, the three sons have 19 All-Ireland medals. And his two grandsons today, Gideon and Adrian, have two more. He would have been a proud man to have 21 All-Ireland medals, senior football medals into his house. So it's just a special day. It's a special day. Yeah, special day.
Absolutely beautiful. Really, really sad as well. And it shows what the GAA is almost like nothing else. You can see what it means.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, Joanne. And look, I'm delighted for this man beside me, and obviously the family influence that. And that's what was needed in that second half. It was a David Clifford and Shane Walsh shootout for an hour, and all of a sudden, Killian Spillane, Gavin White, the supporting cast started to come in for it. But, you know, I started to ask questions. I wonder, will Kerry have the bottle for it? And they did, and credit to them. The best team in the country has Sam, and you have to give them credit for coming back from those difficult places they've been in for the last few years. But, yeah, delighted for this man, delighted for the send-off, and congratulations, Kerry.
Kieran?
Yeah, listen, they fully deserve it, Joanne. They set out their stall at the start of the year. I remember being at home Christmas time and looking at their first McGrath Cup result, and they blitzed somebody and put out a really strong team, and they wanted stability, they wanted structure. That's what Jack O'Connor brought back to them, and they've beaten everybody this year. They won the league, like a massive second half performance. They really just decided they pushed up, they went for it. They didn't sit back as deep, and they went for it.
I think they could give them the man of the match, the player of the year, and everything. Just give it them there and get it over and done with. Because what a player, what an ambassador, what a role model. And his brother Paddy, who was not a minor, not an under-21, a late developer, and has been brilliant as well.
You know what? Like my granda, I can remember my granda talking about it. John Joe.
And sorry, just
Calvin.
look at that. As Paddy Shea's grandson, Paul Gainey is his dad. Isn't that a? And to.
But that's what G is. My grandfather talked to John Joe O'Reilly of Cavan. I remember my dad talking about Jack O'Shea of Kerry. I was glad to share a field with Peter Canavan. I think the future generation is going to watch this David Clifford man, and it's brilliant. He's so young. We're going to get another 10, probably 15 years of displays like we saw today. It's amazing to see.
Absolutely incredible. Is there anything else you want to... Is it... It's the Galway connection and the family connection that's made you...
It is, but that's Kerry. You know, Kerry football, you know... There isn't a day I don't think about Kerry football. There isn't a day I don't think about football. I love football. It's part of our DNA. It's in our blood. It is our religion. And like to be without Sam Maguire for 7 years, it hurts. It hurts. So that's young Arlo with Gavin Crowley. You know, they're our Timpano boys. I mean, little Timpano with 4 lads today. So that's great.
This means a lot to you, doesn't it, Pat? Watching the two lads.
And they're two good lads. So like I mean, our little club Timpano with 4 lads involved today, 3 playing. I mean, that's just brilliant. Just
remind how small Tempelo is.
It's a population at a push at 700 people. We have to amalgamate it underage. But you know, this is a product of great people investing in coaching and investing in looking after players. And it's not about numbers game. It's about coaching. Proper coaching, proper games development, and that's what we have in Kerry at schools. That's what we have in Kerry at club, and
a Tyrone man to get us over the line.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was Kieran who had to get that one in. We talked about the proud people of Temple. No, I'm sure the people of Kenmare will be very proud of their captain of this Kerry team today, Sean O'Shea.
Sean, All-Ireland winning captain, what does that mean to you?
It's unbelievable. Just to finally get over the line, like it's hard to describe. It's like a weight lifted off your shoulders. It's something you've dreamed about since you were a young fella to just get a Celtic cross and get up those steps. And to be given the honour to lead the team out today and to do it with Joe for the year has been incredible. So I'm forever grateful.
Sean, how did you win the game? It was so close throughout. First half, you didn't hit your fifth gear. In the second half, you found a way.
Yeah, I suppose credit to Galway. They really battled hard. We've talked all year about loving the grind and grinding it out when things get tough. If we can play our football, great, but if not, we'll try and grind it. And that was certainly a grind out there today.
Just in terms of the whole backroom team and all the work that went in, like Tony Griffin, everybody plays a part, I guess, in getting you over the line, Sean.
Absolutely. I mean, the spirit in our group, from the players and from the management, is absolutely huge. We're all in this together. We all only want one thing, and thankfully we're after doing it today.
Thanks, Sean.
Some really interesting comments from all of the interviewees so far. Just Sean O'Shea, before we talk about what he said, just even when you heard him giving his speech there, Kieran, you hear that he's a leader within the group, and you obviously see him on the pitch, so you can see how he leads by how he plays, but just the way he carries himself as well, it gives you a strong indication, doesn't it?
You could see that from Sean O'Shea when he was a minor. I remember coming up against him with a Dublin minor team and himself and Clifford, and you could see that these guys were always going to develop into superstars, and they're only 23 years of age. You know, like we spoke about before the game, Kerry getting there and getting up the steps. They're up the steps now, and they'll build and they'll get better, and they have the talent. And I think, but it's important. We always talk about the Cliffords, but I look at the other end of the pitch this year, and I think Jason Foley was heroic. I think Tyke Morley was heroic. They really held the spine in that defence and were excellent again here today. And that was the big change from Kerry, to stop conceding the goals they were conceding last year when the Tyrone hit them for 3 goals. You know, that structure they had in defence, because they had the talent up front and they just got that balance spot on. But you also have to shout out for Galway. It was a heroic performance, a brilliant Galway performance, and to watch Sean touched on it, to watch Shane Walsh, to watch Killian McDade, you know, absolute warriors out there today. They probably just ran out of juice a bit from 55 minutes. Maybe didn't have the bench to come on, but they certainly leave here with a lot of credibility as well.
Grind it out. That was the phrase. It was interesting that Sean O'Shea said that, because even what Kieran was saying there about how we know they have these incredibly talented players up front, but he was saying we'll grind it out if we have to grind it out.
Yeah, well, ultimately when the games the last few years have been in the mix, the field, and we've all known they've had the best talent pool in the country, been watching these amazing players, but they've let themselves down because of cheap goals at the back and whatnot. And look, we knew, or we expected they were going to win All Ireland's, but with 64 minutes gone there today, it was 16-16, and the next score was going to be a big one. All of a sudden, Clifford comes with a moment of class from under the Cusack stand. Killian Spillane cuts along, so you know they stepped up when they needed to go and win that game. They did.
Well, Pat did say before the game, let's give them hand credit that they were different this year. They did have what they didn't have the last couple of years, and it's been proved correct today. So they are All-Ireland champions. What that means is that Jack O'Connor now has been in charge for 3 reigns of Kerry, and in each of those 3 reigns, in his very first year, he has won the National Football League and the All-Ireland. Here he is with Damien.
Jack, congratulations. 3rd time again. What does this mean to you and people of Kerry?
Sure, Damien, this means everything to us. You know, every man, woman and child in Kerry are celebrating this evening. It's like a religion down there. It's just in our blood, and it just means everything, Damien. So delighted for the people of Kerry, delighted for the players and everybody involved.
Jack, the pressure of taking the Kerry job, I know the Kerry job is something that you want, but every time you take it, there's pressure to deliver the All-Ireland. Did you feel that pressure during the year?
Yeah, I didn't, Damien, to be honest with you. You know, I'm a bit long in the tooth now to be feeling pressure. I don't. I really enjoyed this year. I'm not just saying that now because we won, but I really enjoyed the year. I'm philosophical enough now to enjoy it as we go along. We had great fun, we had great crack, and more than anything else, we enjoyed being together, we enjoyed the training, and lads enjoyed each other's company. So, look, so what can I say? I'm a bit emotional now, I'm probably not making much sense, but just delighted for this group. They've been under huge pressure from everybody, and they showed their mettle in the second half when that game was going against us.
And the pressure was there throughout this game. You were quick off the mark at half-time with the substitutions, Jack. They worked a treat. What was the thinking behind the changes at the break?
Look, so we have a strong panel and we have to use them. We thought maybe, David was sick for a week last week, and I had the same dose myself actually, and I know it knocks hell out of you, so we wouldn't expect him to last the game anyway. And, Paul was getting on a lot of possession, but was just a little bit jittery with it, so we just thought we'd bring Killian in to steady it up. So, look, I think the lads contributed. Look, everybody contributed, and just delighted we got over the line, David.
Jack, thanks very much for your time. Go and enjoy yourself.
Thank you.
We're trying to work out, is it this David he means, or is it David Moore? And the lads reckon it's David Moore who may have been sick. There you go. David Clifford actually mentioned becoming a father after going out of the championship last year did make him kind of relax a little bit. He always looked like a fairly laid-back character, but the idea that he has been... I mean, he has struggled with injury at times this year.
Yeah, he struggled with injury, but Joanne, he's a superstar. I think he's going to go on to be the best ever. He's starting now, and what he done there today, the first half, and the game was going against Kerry. He was the one plucking them out of the sky. He was the one keeping them in, hanging in there. An unbelievable performance. And one thing that stuck out, even when they beat Dublin, he was the calmest of the lot of them. He was just calm. He knew it was another day on the horizon. He didn't get overexcited. He just obviously is cool, calm, mentally and strong.
That dynamic of being the main player and having all that pressure, and we heard from Pádraig Joyce beforehand talking about how they're going to stop David Clifford. And to go out there as if he's kicking in the park and fire over points from everywhere with all that pressure on your shoulders, that's a different level.
And that final free that he took from that was a really difficult, and he nailed it. But that's David Clifford. He's just so confident, so composed. But you're right, that word that I used at the start when we said that Kerry this year are a different animal. That word resilience. And what you saw were the things what we saw today in the second half were the things we haven't seen the last couple of years. Their conditioning, physical, their mental strength, their game management, their composure, like I said, the subs bench, their defensive system. And like I said, Kieran mentioned about Jason Foley. This guy has had some year, and you think about it, today I did a piece, Damien Comer, 2-9, the farm forward in Galway, and Jason Foley didn't give him a score from play.
Foley and O'Sullivan, like all the conversation was about Tom O'Sullivan, but Graham O'Sullivan and Foley was probably their two best defenders on the day.
There you go. Some people said that David Clifford, despite all the obvious skills, wouldn't be a true legend until he had a Celtic cross. Well, he has one now. There may well be more to come, but let's analyse this one anyway in just a couple of minutes. The Derry manager, Rory Gallagher, will be one of Des's guests tonight when we find out the All-Ireland final man of the match and the Sunday Game Team of the Year from 9:30 on RT2. There's live coverage of the Galway races from Monday. The Women's European Championships reach the semi-final stage. The hosts England take on Sweden on Tuesday, then Germany face France on Wednesday. Both of those games with an 8 o'clock kick-off, but coverage starting at 7:30. Live coverage of the Longines Nations Cup from Hickstead on RT2 from 4 o'clock on Friday. But right here in Croke Park, we're still looking back on the celebrations of Kerry winning their first All-Ireland since 2014, and of course their 38th in total. When David Moran and David Clifford were speaking, it was interesting to hear them talk about not only did they never really panic, but they felt their fitness was going to get them through.
Yeah, I think the second half performance was particularly noticeable, or brilliant from Kerry, because you saw their physical fitness, you saw their conditioning, but what you saw in that second half, which we haven't seen in the last 3 years, was their game management and composure. And you can remember the nightmare of last year from a Kerry point of view, playing Tyrone. When we were faced with the blanket defence, we were turned over 30 times, 35 times during the entire game, 30 times in the attack. Today, we were turned over only 11 times in the course of the game. We never really took the ball that much into contact. We made the right decisions. We played patient, we played wit, and we took our passes and took our shots at the right time.
Jack O'Connor there saying he looks like and he said it in his interview about how he's taken this one differently. He's more relaxed this year. He's different than he was in his first 2 times in charge.
Or relaxed because he's won, I suppose. But like I'd say, listen, like anything that comes with the pressures, Joanne, you know what I mean? And you know, the Dublin game was significant. You know, we did speak before whether they were really there or not. But you know, they did show that composure in the second half. They're there now, and it just those mental psychology things, just to get that little bit of baggage off the back, because there was still always a nervousness to Kerry up to this point.
You only really find out whether that's in you whenever you go to that moment. Everyone talks about look, we've got it in us. We're different to last year, but it was only in that 64th minute where I goes right 16-16. Let's see what you have. And in fairness, they all stood up as a team.
Oh, they stood up
rose.
and they closed it out. Now there was, I think it was a soft free given into them, 16-all. I think Galway, you know, a defender generally.
It was a technical one. I can see why it was a free.
But that gave them, that was a soft enough. Not many referees would give that free at that stage of the game in that position, and that gave them that 1 point lead, and they pushed on from there.
Mental fortitude is one thing, but surely there has to have been a change at half-time as well, because Kerry scored just 2 points from play in the first half. Their first 5 of the second, all from play.
We spoke at half-time, Joanne, about, you know, Galway being happy and Kerry being timid, and Kerry got out very early at half-time. We were wondering what is going on. I can imagine O'Connor gave them a bit of a rollicking inside and said, lads, get out there and show what you're made of. And we did see a different Kerry. We saw an aggressive Kerry. We saw quick ball, quick movement. We saw lots of players coming into the game, not just always David Clifford. And you know, the movement in their forward line in particular, I spoke at half-time around, you know, they were a bit static.
I think this was actually, I thought that was their best goal. Diarmuid O'Connor coming off the wing, lovely time pass over the bar.
Well, that's how you beat any sort of a blanket. You beat it by runners cutting at angles and cutting together in 2s and 3s, and you can see the movement off the ball. It's one-touch football. It's pop, 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 and you know, when you have guys like this guy can put the ball over 40 metres, it helps. But you could see the change in their attitude. They come out at half-time to win this game, and you could see that.
But I said it. I go back to Sean O'Shea's free, and I said when we'll be analysing the All-Ireland if Kerry win, I can tell you this: that was redemption moment for Kerry, because they were freed of all the built-up fear of Dublin and the Dublin powerhouse, and this was the monkey off their back, and they showed resilience the last day, and they showed it in abundance in the second half day. You think back. Collapse in the All-Ireland final drawn match of 2019. They left an All-Ireland behind them. Collapse against Cork and Páirc Uí Chaoimh, last-minute score. A poor performance, a poor day at the office against Tyrone last year, where they didn't turn up. They turned up today, and when pressure came on, when they stood up in that second half.
Sean said that other players came into it in the second half, and you all spoke about the importance of Paddy Clifford being involved before the game. He wasn't really in the first half. Did he come into it much more in the second
half? And like, I am a big Paddy Clifford fan, I have to say. I think his decision making is excellent when he's on the ball, and he has all the key aspects of a top class footballer. And just his hard run in here into the space, knows where the space is, hand out for the ball comes in, he goes for goal. You know, it was one of those that he probably knows, put a bit of power behind it, will go over the bar. And here, Galway probably getting a little conservative. They're sitting back. They've 4 extra defenders back. They're inviting Kerry onto them around the edges, and that's where Kerry got a lot of their scores, coming on overlaps. And Paddy was allowed to just drift in. He gets it and just drives at it and pops it over the bar. But he's just a good decision maker. He creates stuff. He finishes stuff. You know, David gets all the plaudits, but
Paddy's a point guard, isn't he?
Since Paddy has come into the team, he's had a huge influence in that forward line. And Jack Glynn, in fairness, done a great job on him in the first half and was keeping him relatively quiet, and Kerry were struggling for that cohesion up front, and then he came into the second half, made a big difference.
He's the big brother, but you know when Paddy Clifford made his first start for Kerry? In that infamous league game, 21st of May 2021, when David scored the 3-6 against Galway. So it was against Galway he had his first start, and he came into the second half here today. But Sean mentioned he was sceptical come the 65th minute. Galway equalised. It was 16 points apiece, but Kerry did indeed see it home.
Coming down the stretch, we said that was where where Kerry are different this year. That the physical condition, the resilience, the mental strength. I thought this was a cracking point. Because it was really, really difficult angle, but you had it in the right. But you can see there was no pace. They went short with the kick out. You know, they got the right man on the ball at all times. Like I said, the subs went Micheál Burns, Adrian Spillane, Killian. Killian is a really talented player. Jack has always said that he was the most skillful forward he ever coached as a minor. And Shawnee Shea just to finish it off. And you know, I'm glad for Shawnee because Shawnee didn't have one of his better days today, but Shawnee is a leader and Shawnee is one of, you know, he's really one. He's a class act. And look, that's the missing piece of the jigsaw this year. Jack coming in. Jack is a winner, and Jack is a much more mellowed man this year. He'll admit that himself. And he bringing in Paddy Talley, bringing in Diarmuid Murphy, bringing in Michael Quirk. You know, he's prepared. Once upon a time, Jack was his own man. He wasn't prepared to look for advice.
You might even write a nice article about him, Pat.
I even offered during the week. I said, if you win, we'll have a few pints together. So
I want to get a COVID check on him, Pat. If that's all right, he was saying about him and David Moore having a bit of an illness during the week. There has to be something in the rules against that.
I did momentarily have concerns. Remember the Arsenal player who was dropped by Tony Adams? Remember it? You don't remember? No, it wasn't Steve. Somebody said Steve Morrow. That's who it was who was dropped. Momentary worries for Jack O'Connor, but he's fine. He has his 4 All-Irelands. And key to that is seeing at home from Kerry, of course, there was a strong Spillane influence in there, so we can hear from the two brothers, nephews of Pat, Killian and Adrian.
Lads, just as young lads growing up, to be here where you are today, it just must be absolutely unbelievable to continue the family business and the Kerry business.
Yeah, look, you know, it's every child's dream to come up and play in Croke Park in an All-Ireland final, to win an All-Ireland final. But let's say to do it with my brother in the field next to me, you know, it's very special. It is a dream come true. We're very proud, you know, leaving home there on Saturday. Our father was rightly G'd up. He was, you know, he could have gone out and played the game himself now today. And he's up in the stand. He's a very proud man. It's great for our family, but look, we just did our best out there, and it was a great day out.
Before I stop talking about your family, Killian, just in terms of growing up with this, and like I can imagine the kicks that you had at home in the back garden, was it always just football?
I suppose it was really for as long as we can remember. I mean, obviously growing up hearing what the lads did back in the 70s and 80s, it was kind of something that we were growing. We had no other choice but to do it really, but we enjoyed it.
Was the father throwing the videos on the whole time?
Oh, he never turned them off. Yeah, Kerry's golden years is a bit of a fan favourite in the house, all right, but look, it paid off in the end. We picked up a few good moves out, all right, so. Yeah, it's just nice that we left our own step in it, obviously, today. Now we picked up our first medal, so it's a huge honour, right?
Very, very well said. Just in terms of at half-time, lads, what was the message to you guys? You made a serious impact when he came on, but the team needed that as well.
Well, I suppose, not to panic, really. That's kind of one thing we kind of put into us, really. Any situation we're faced, we try not to panic. And as subs, we have a little chat before we go in. We just said all we have to do is just lift the energy, and did that as best we could. Look, we try and come in, make an impact. Yeah. You know, add legs to it, add intensity, add a bit of work rate, and that's what we did. And look, that's what any fella on our panel, from the first 15 to the fellas on the bench to the fellas on the extended panel, absolutely anyone could have come in here today and done a job for us, because we have full faith in absolutely everybody with our group.
And just a last question then, lads. You spoke about keeping the shape and not panicking. Just the points that you peeled off near the end, pure patience and pure counter-attacking. Was that the plan the whole time, just to soak it up, pick off the points when they come and use the bit of experience?
I suppose it's something we've worked on in training. Look, we tried to replicate any scenario that we'll face, and I suppose plenty of bodies back is something that we faced in training over and over again, so we were kind of conditioned to it, so we kind of had an idea what to do. I know these circumstances are different with all these people around, but I think we kept our cool anyway. We picked off the scores when we could.
Killian, Adrian, proud day for your family. I'm delighted. Congratulations to all of you. Thanks so much for your time.
They're as chilled, aren't they?
Oh, Adrian is, well, they're chalk and cheese. Killian is so laid back to the point of horizontal, and Killian was always gifted and was always going to be, you know, he was always the best forward and best player. Adrian is a great example to anyone there. Adrian wouldn't have Killian's skill ability, but what Adrian has is heart, and he trains and he trains. He's fierce, determined, and what you see is what you get, 100% effort, and I'm glad for both of them. They're good lads. They're good lads.
I never even mentioned you, Pat.
No, I must get that. That's not good.
No, you'll have to have a word with him later.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Everybody will be talking, what they were talking about before this, that if Kerry were to win today, then it was going to begin this cycle of Kerry dominance, despite the fact that this team hadn't actually won one. But when you look at the teams around and the teams have come and challenged this year, and if you particularly look at Galway, as Kieran mentioned today, some of their players they really stood up when they were under the pressure as well, even though they didn't come out with the win.
Absolutely, Joanne, and watching Shane Walsh in some of the moments today will probably go down in my memory as some of the best moments that I've seen in Croke Park, and that's no exaggeration. He was a single-handed attacking weapon for Galway and wasn't really getting much help, but you could see 2-3 Kerry men trying to close him down, and that presence of mind is to keep finding the space and knowing where the second man is and cutting and kicking that quality of point. Like, that's phenomenal. That's Peter Canavan stuff. That's Bernard Brogan. That's points for the ages. And this man, Killian McDaid, if we're talking about midfielders this year, midway through that second half, you're almost thinking this man's in for Player of the Year if Galway managed to win this, because he's been a driving force. He's dug them out in the games, particularly in the Armagh game. He was phenomenal, and without him, they probably wouldn't be here today. And in that second half again, he kicked 3 phenomenal points.
Kieran, the other midfielders' thoughts on that performance?
Killian McDaid has been brilliant all year. Like, he's such an athlete in box to box and kicking scores, and he reads the breaks very well. He's smart enough under ball when others are going up, and he had a powerful game. And I agree with Sean. Shane Walsh is just something special as well, and he showed it on the biggest stage today of all. And I think Galway go home with a lot of credit, Joanne. They really do. They had a phenomenal year under Joyce. They have to build on it now. They go back to the start again, but they deserve great credit for the performance they put in today.
Just the All-Ireland as a whole, it is obviously the day belongs to these men, the year belongs to these men, but we have seen several counties really make big steps. Are we going to see them continue to challenge? Are we going to continue to see... Did he just pull his hamstring? No, he didn't. Are we going to continue to see Armagh challenge? Are we going to continue to see Derry challenge and move steps forward? And, of course, Galway again, and of course, Mayo are hoping to be in the mix as well.
I think we have. I think we've seen the pack breaking out. We've been talking so long about Dublin dominance and possibly Kerry challenging them, and Tyrone were there. But I think this year we've seen 3 or 4 others step up, Galway, Armagh, Derry, and I think all 3 of those teams will put the chest out next year and say, you know what, we can do this. We can, Kerry aren't that far away yet.
We also have a new format next year, which is going to add a different dynamic to it, in terms of those top teams, so it's going to be the stale provincial championships and teams arrive in row tested to quarterfinal, semi-final.
I think it's a year that we broke away from every team setting up defensively. We saw probably the touching cup. Kieran touched on it earlier. There's a lot of it really attacking football again, really exciting and interesting to watch. So look, I think as a whole it's been a really good year.
I think it has, and in Kerry's case, the cream has come to the top. The best team in the country have won, and I think we are reclaiming the game slowly but surely away from some of the bluffers and spoofers and the snake oil salesmen that infiltrated some of the coaching.
What a way to finish,
I was just
to finish off.
Yeah, you have to finish that way. It does, though, bring our season of the Sunday Game Live for the men's championships to a close. But of course, we will have the All-Ireland Camogie final on the 7th of August. So congratulations to Kerry on their 38th All-Ireland title, and fitting, of course, in one way that they should be the victors today, because although we say thank you to Sean and to Kieran for now, and to all of our guests for the season, we most particularly say a big thank you to Pat Spillane, one of the greatest footballers in the history of the game. Brought punditry to new levels that it hasn't been to before, may never be again. Drove us all a little crazy at times, but he also made us laugh, and he entertained us, and he was never, ever boring. So well done to Kerry, and thank you to Pat.
Go to Mila.
Slán.